Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I am insane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dig it.
Oh, the mega powers.
What's up, chat? What's up, phenomenal ones? Yeah. You guys
put
get
this man
Killian
in the
Dane mode
cage.
tonight.
You give him some rules. He's like a fish out of water.
The cream of the crop.
Calming down here. Hello, everybody.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Welcome to the show. Yes.
Last couple
How are our
cut the
gremlins?
music. There we go. Now we can talk.
All right.
All righty.
How are our gremlins today, Mr. Howell?
They are dealt with.
Knock wood.
Yep.
Knock wood. That's the case.
Live on the YouTubes.
Our very last Thursday show.
Oh, my God.
Our last Thursday. Can you believe it?
160 episodes it has taken us to. And we're going to say all of this again when we're recording. But
Well, yeah, just more formally, less casually.
Yep. All right, there's a good handful of people in here. I think we can kick this puppy into gear. Make a couple last little checks. Everything looks good. I'm good. You good, Sir Ian? You got a drink you drank?
I'm after last night, I'm sticking to water today.
Oh, it's one of those kinds of nights, huh? Give me a little more juice here. Check 2. All right, I think we're good. Well, chat, we are ready to go. We're going to kick things off, as we always do, with our good friends over at Blueberry. This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
¿Qué tal, amigos? Les habla el cero miedo de la lucha libre, Pentagon Junior, para mandar un saludo a todos mis amigos de este podcast. Y ya saben, puro cero miedo.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode 160. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and I've had Johnny Gargano's entrance music stuck in my head for 7 days straight, and I want to die. How are you this week, Nick? Welcome back from Iceland. Iceland?
Yes.
Iceland?
I had quite the adventure today. Today, not only am I doing a 2-hour-plus podcast, but I spent about 18 hours traveling back from the north. Literally where they filmed the Great War, the frozen north in Game of Thrones. I was there. No, it was a blast. Iceland's the beautiful country. First time there, absolutely. But I will say, much like planes, trains, and automobiles, I one-upped them today because I took just about every single form of conveyance that you could imagine, short of a razor scooter. I was in a lift, a train, a bus, a van, a train, a plane. Just it takes forever to get back and forth from Europe, unfortunately. So
as long as your hand didn't end up between two pillows, you're probably doing all right.
No,
it's a planes, trains, and automobiles reference.
It took me a second. I'm tired.
It took you a second, buddy. That's okay. But welcome back. But we're not here to talk about movies or your trip to Iceland, as fascinating as it is. We are actually here to talk about pro wrestling. And my God, Nick, it's the calm before the Tony Storm. Excuse me, it's calm before the storm. This week this is our last Thursday show today.
Oh, I hope you guys are strapped in because the chaos is about to get started and about to begin.
Yes, strapped in and strapped on, because next week we go to 2 shows a week. We're going to be now live on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Do we even have a time for like Tuesdays? Was it 3 Pacific?
No, we're
6
gonna
Eastern?
do normal time, 8 p.m. 5 Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific
On Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
And then Saturday was the 1 p.m. I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
I
It's
don't even know.
chaos.
Yeah,
It's chaos.
we'll announce it all over the course of the next week. We'll make sure you guys have events that you can subscribe to. But yeah, the next week, not only our show, the entire world of wrestling is kind of getting turned on its head with new shows on new channels and new networks. And oh my God.
This week was nuts, and it's going to just get crazier from here, Nick. But before we talk about all of that, because we do have a huge show today,
yes,
let's do some housekeeping, and then we'll get into all of the madness.
Yes, well, guys, the best place to be. We are taking the mantra of all live all the time as much as we possibly can. So your number one destination should be right here on youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you're subscribed and make sure you've got that notification bell turned on so that anytime I schedule new events for new streams, and they not always just going to be our regular shows. We're going to do bonus episodes and listener Q&A and all kinds of good stuff as we go through this transition. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications set up as we go through this transition until you get used to this sort of stuff. But youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Or you can come join us in the Busted Wide Open discussion group on Facebook. It's kind of the hub of our operation, in addition to our new Discord server that we're trying out for live chats during all of the weekly shows and all of the pay-per-views, all live all the time over on Discord. And you can find a link to our Discord server here in the show notes of this on YouTube. We make sure we put it over on the Orbital Jigsaw listing, and there's pinned posts on Twitter and the Facebook discussion group. Speaking of which, you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. And last but certainly not least, thank you very much to all of our patrons. If you guys want to get in on some exclusive content, features and bonuses and all kinds of good stuff, head over to patreon.com/BWO.
Plus the ability to ask listener questions. Actually, we're going to be doing a lot more listener question activity, and that's all through Patreon. So, again, it really helps us immensely when you guys support this show. We want to do a whole lot more content, and we can only do that by through your patronage. So, thank you to everyone who is currently a patron, and if you're not already, help us out, help us keep growing, because we have lots of big plans for the show. We're feeling very ambitious about everything. So the more you help, the more we can do. And I mean, we can even start getting like one-off content, like What Culture, all kinds of things that we have planned. But again, just through your help. But so thank you everyone who is currently helping. And if you're not already, sign up. You got some cool stuff on there already, and there'll be more cool stuff on the way.
Yes. Well, we got tons of wrestling content to talk about. But we have to start off going over what the calendar is going to look like for the next foreseeable future, because it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Everything's changing.
It is crazy, Nick. But in order to talk about that, let's head over to our segment we like to call The Big News.
Well, the first thing we want to talk about is the new season. We're getting a brand new season premiere as it's being advertised. Exactly. Of Monday Night Raw, kicking off on USA on Monday, September 30th. This coming Monday will start the new season. And frankly, it's going to kick off a week of actual chaos. I know I keep saying that, but it's literal chaos. And everything's changing.
Probably one of the biggest sea changes on the major professional wrestling landscape that I can remember in recent times.
Me too.
Where you've got shows moving to major networks, you have new shows, massive shows, debuting existing shows that previously were exclusive to a network, for example, showing up on major networks, major network TV. It's kind of crazy. It's actually crazy what's happening right now in wrestling, and it's very, very exciting. This week, as you said, we have Raw doing their quote-unquote season premiere with a bunch of big matches on September 30th on Monday on USA. AEW, we're finally going to see what they've had up their sleeve. They are premiering on TNT on Wednesday, the 2nd of October. If you are not in the U.S., if you are in, for instance, Canada or the U.K., it will not be shown live. It'll be shown on a replay depending on where you are, but you can get it on Fight TV. This is a subscription model right there. You can get it a la carte for $2.99 a show, or for $4.99 a month, and you get like backstage content and stuff like that. If you are in the UK, you can see the replay on ITV4 on Sundays at 8:20 a.m. and then a highlight show that's like an hour will be airing on ITV on Monday at 11:45 p.m. So they're giving you some options. AEW I'm sure is going to have an uphill battle as far as visibility for a while. It's just going to be a matter of they're going to have their own gremlins, Nick. Much like us, getting live on this show across the country the way that we are, it takes some gremlins. You got to work out those gremlins. They're going to have the same thing. But AEW is coming Wednesday, and the first really major competition for WWE since mid-2000s TNA.
Yeah, almost.
So it should be,
well, I wouldn't even put that up there. I would go all the way back to late WCW.
WCW.
Early WCW.
Early WCW. 1999 WCW wasn't competing with anybody.
No. Well, all right.
But AEW will be competing with NXT, which up until now has been only an hour live on USA because of the last couple of episodes of Suits. It will be going to its full 2-hour live time frame starting on Wednesday as well, the 2nd of October, and it will be going head-to-head with AEW. Considering the product they've been putting out, that's a major competition for AEW right there.
Yeah.
NXT UK is being moved as well. If you thought you're going to have a free day during the week, you were wrong, because NXT UK is going to be on Thursdays now on the WWE Network.
Oh, damn it.
Starting on the 3rd.
Good God, man.
And of course, obviously, SmackDown Live, the big news, SmackDown Live going to Fox starting next Friday, a week from tomorrow. It will be the first time SmackDown will be airing on Fox, which is a very big deal, and they've got some major matches planned for that. Finally, you may be wondering about Tuesdays. Well, what about Tuesdays, guys? Can I have Tuesdays free? No, you can't, because by the end of October on Access TV, Impact will be showing on Tuesdays. They're going to have a preview show on the 22nd, and they go, the premiere is going to be the 29th, and it's going to be a 2-hour show on Tuesdays. So every day of the weekday, there will be some wrestling.
Wow.
So,
just
Nick, it's
did everybody get all that? Did you all
content.
get your notepads out and make notes of all that? Everybody's got it in their calendars. Okay, good. So
sit down on a night, you'll have some wrestling to watch. It's crazy that there's so much content out there now.
So now that we've established that, I wanted to quickly go over like what our intentions are. So on the Tuesday show earlier in the week, what we're going to be doing is talking about Monday Night Raw and what we would typically classify as the wide world of wrestling. Anything that's happened beyond the WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, things like that. On Saturdays, that's going to be the bigger show, in my opinion, because it's going to have NXT, AEW, Smackdown from Fridays on Fox, and we're going to be doing a bonus. We're going to be moving listener questions to an exclusive stream inside of the Busted Wide Open discussion group so that we can dedicate more time to them and give a little bit longer answers. So those will end up not being in the main episode shows, but they will be over in Facebook Live, and we'll even break those out into a separate MP3 episode for you guys to listen to on your podcast apps if you like that as well. So I'm signing myself up for quite a bit of stuff over here.
We're gonna be busy, Nick. We're gonna be busy boys. But that's fantastic. I love it, and I love the fact that we're going through this, I don't know, a renaissance or a new golden age. I don't even know what hyperbole to anoint this with, but this new era of wrestling right now is very exciting, especially if you're a fan.
Yeah.
That's not all. There's also been because they're doing all these new formats, we're shaking up everything. We're getting the draft in WWE, where they're going to be drafting people to brand specific shows on the second week of October. Along with that, they've announced there's new announcer teams for their shows. They're shaking up the announcement desks. On Raw, gone are Michael Cole. Gone is Corey Graves. Gone is Renee Young. They are wiping the slate with Raw. Raw is getting Vic Joseph, currently on 205 Live. Dio Madden, the great black otaku, is coming to Raw from out of nowhere. He's been doing some work on it in NXT. He's actually very entertaining. You've seen him a little bit on 205 Live. But he's coming over to the desk on Monday Night Raw, going to be in kind of the color position. But then the master of color is coming as well. Jerry Lawler is going to be stepping in as the third guy on Monday Night Raw. That's actually, they've confirmed that is just temporary. He's going to be doing it just for a little bit.
Okay.
until they can find who else is going to be there. They'll probably have some guest stars come in. There's already speculation about who that third person might be. It could be Beth Phoenix. It could be a feud of Mickie James has actually been trying out. So there's a couple of names being thrown around for the third person on the desk on Monday. On SmackDown Live on Fridays, we know we're getting Michael Cole and Corey Graves are going to be going to the flagship brand. That's the only people that have been announced so far. They said they might have Renee Young step in every once in a while. She'll be around. She might not be on the desk commentating. It might be going down to a two-person desk, or they might have a trick up their sleeve on Fridays as well. So looking forward to seeing what they are going to throw at us there. As long as it's not Coach or Otunga, fine. Or JBL.
Yeah.
NXT is staying as Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness. And I suspect Beth Phoenix, they just announced that it was staying the same. So that is not going anywhere, which is great because don't mess with perfection.
They've been doing great the last couple of weeks going live. So fantastic. Yep.
And Beth Phoenix is actually a fantastic. I'm really enjoying her commentary.
I've come around. Yep.
Yeah, she's got some really smooth transitions. I'm enjoying. So the real question is, what's happening to Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton? We know that Tom Phillips has been. It's been released that he will be a quote-unquote producer backstage, which in WWE could mean one of a million things. We do not know what's happening with Tom Phillips. If we'll go back to some of him interviewing people backstage and acting like he's really short when he's not. Not sure what's happening with Saxton. Saxton has completely grown on me. I'm going to kind of miss him, and I'm going to miss him and Corey and their dynamic. But he's gone. We don't know where he's going. We do know that Renee Young this is actually a big news, and it's also going to contain an exclusive that you will only hear on this show. We have breaking news that is exclusive to this show. So Booker T and Renee, this isn't. I'll tell you when we get to the exclusive. Booker T and Renee Young are going to be hosting a what's called Backstage. It's going to be on FS1 starting on November 5th on Tuesdays. Queen Kathy is also going to be involved. That's going to be filmed right here in LA on the Fox lot, apparently. They've got a whole stage set up and everything.
Damn.
I'm not sure if it's going to be live yet or not, but they have announced that they've been interviewing a lot of WWE legends and past wrestlers to possibly come in as guest hosts. Here's the exclusive. Thanks to people that I personally know, that Nick and you know as well, that work on the Fox lot here in LA, I can confirm that one person that tried out for the show, that came in to film on the show or do something for the show, was CM Punk. 100% confirmed. That is a fact, and you will only hear it right here because that's one of our sources that told us that. Ooh. And it was confirmed. So we're not saying, we're just saying it may come to nothing. He may have auditioned and it fell through, but he was in LA, he was on the Fox lot, and he was doing something for this show. So take that how you will. And finally, I don't know how to move on from that, but finally in the big news this week, we have a major talent coming back to WWE. This could have gone in our other news section at the end of the show, but that is so packed this week, Nick. I had to move this to the top of the show because it is it could be a big deal or it could be a big disappointment. We'll see. Yeah. But John Morrison, a.k.a. Johnny Mundo, a.k.a. Johnny Impact, a.k.a. Johnny
Everything.
Everything. He's coming back. He's not going to be Johnny Elite after all. He's going to be Johnny WWE. I don't even know what he's going to be called. Johnny Raw. He'd probably go back to the John Morrison gimmick.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's coming back to WWE. If you've watched any of his stuff over the last, how long has he been out of WWE? He left in 11, I think.
2012.
2011.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. In the intervening years, he has done some absolutely lights out work, just some superlative work. Some of my favorite stuff he's done was in Lucha Underground, of course, where he was Johnny Mundo, which was his bell to bell match with Ricochet. They did the whole show, just like an hour-long match, 45-minute match, and it was unbelievable. Hopefully, they will have something for him to do, and they will treat him with a little bit more respect this time. Otherwise, we're just going to see him jobbing out on main event. I just don't want to see that. Hopefully, he's coming back, and he's got some assurances coming back to WWE.
Is it realistic to assume that Taya's going to drop her belt here recently and be not far behind him? Taya Valkyrie? Mrs.
I don't
Johnny
know.
Morrison?
She would fit in really well in the women's division, I think.
I agree.
Obviously a great look and a good, solid worker. But she's also a huge fixture in Impact. But then again, so was John Morrison. It's really hard to speculate at this point who's going where. Obviously, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you'll have two people who are major fixtures of two completely different companies. Obviously, there's lots of crossover now between husbands and their wives and vice versa. What with Moxley doing his stuff in AEW in Japan and Renee still on WWE TV, and you've got Peyton Royce and Sean Spears on completely different programming. So it's possible. It's
Adam
possible.
Cole
Nick.
and Britt Baker.
Adam, yeah, there you go. So it's totally possible.
Yeah.
But I would certainly not be mad at seeing Taya in WWE.
No, and I'll say this too. I'm very happy for all of the people that were tied up with Lucha Underground for so long, and the few folks that we've seen on the Indies and Lucha and all of that stuff over the past 3 to 5 years. I thought about this when we were watching a certain match that happened on NXT this week. Just Cuerno, Ivelisse, Johnny, Taya, everybody is actually in most of them have made it into WWE or AEW at this point.
Phoenix and Pentagon, for God's sake.
So, I'm so happy that those guys have gotten out from under all of that stuff and have been able to move on into bigger and better things. Man, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do next.
Yeah, credit where credit's due, man. Lucha Underground is having kind of an ignominious finish. But, the first couple of seasons of that show were absolutely amazing and introduced the world to a ton of amazing stars. And most of their roster now are enormous stars in other promotions right now. Yeah. So, all the way down to NWA, where Willie Mack was the national champ.
That's right.
For a while there. So it's everybody on that show is getting something. So, but it's very exciting. I'm excited to have John Morrison back in WWE. I hope they use him right because the guy is an incredible talent.
Right.
And has improved a lot since the last time he was there. But Nick, we've got a ton of other stuff to talk about. Besides that, it's a ton of excitement in the air. As I said, the other news segment alone is massive this week. We've got New Japan to discuss. We've got NXT was a huge 2-hour show again this week. Our listener questions, you tell me, are huge, and it's a very full segment. I can't wait to get to that. But before we talk about any of that, we need to discuss Monday Night Raw.
Well, this week's show opened up again with Seth Rollins coming out and going, "Oh my God, the Fiend, he scared me. I was so scared. He had me pinned in the corner, and I will prevail, and I will survive, and I'll survive, and I'll prevail." And is that on a shirt yet on this website, by the way?
Yes, he's going to survive and prevail the way that he has against Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman. That's what he's going to do in Hell in a Cell, is survive and prevail. I like that aspect of it. It was a little awkward, the verbiage that he used to describe his reaction to the Fiend. He was very eloquent about it and very, honestly, it felt like a scripted phrase. But at the same time, when you think about it, Nick, if you're going to get a character like the Fiend over, you do have to impress upon the audience that when you're in the ring with him, you're scared of him. Yeah. It's the same way that whenever Bray would do his spider walk, like people, even John Cena would like fall on his ass in fear of this thing. Like, you've got to sell it. And even if it's through kind of an awkward turn of phrase like Seth did here, or his reaction to Bray's physical appearance like he had last week at the end of the show and this week at the end of the show, that's what you have to do to put this character over. And they're doing, as much as we said when they first introduced this concept of the Firefly Funhouse and the Fiend and everything, we said this is all in the delivery. This is all in if you let him win, if you let him look dominant, and you have people treat him with the level of fear and respect that you need to have them treated with. It's the way people react to the Demon, where they're like, oh God, it's Finn Balor's alter ego. I'm actually intimidated by this. Like, you've got to sell that. And luckily, they've got everyone on the roster on the same page. We had Braun Strowman take offense to Seth saying that he got through Braun and he never wanted to face him again. And Braun came out and got in Seth's face and said, you're a little pansy. And Seth said, well, I'll fight you tonight. And Braun said, okay. And so we had a Seth versus Braun rematch, which initially I was a little bit like, really, we're doing this already? We just had a pay-per-view where this was the main event, and we've got and Seth barely survived. How are you going to have a finish on this one?
Right.
And, my thought was the only way you're going to have a finish is if Bray intervenes. That's exactly what happened. Bray, of course, at the end, looks like Braun's going to win. Bray shows up. Next thing you know, he's mandible clawing a guy that took 4 stomps and a pedigree to put down on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago. He mandible claws him into oblivion and then just threatens Seth in the corner to end the show. So here we are. They have done exactly what we said they needed to do with The Fiend, which is make him the most powerful, terrifying figure in WWE.
Yeah, but they're not keeping it in their pants, though.
No, they're not keeping him killing the mid-card. They're saying if he's going to be this powerful, there's no reason why he wouldn't go after the top guys. But here's my question to you, Nick.
Okay.
Is it telling, even though he has a title match with Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, is it telling that he's never said anything about taking the title for himself? He's only made reference on the Firefly Funhouse segment this week. He made reference of how wanting possessions, the pig and the rabbit were fighting over Seth Rollins' toy.
Right.
And he said, if having things makes you feel like it makes you weak. It makes you feel feelings like loneliness and depression and etc. So here, I'm going to break the toy in half, and now you guys don't have to share. Is that leading us somewhere as far as the idea of a possession, that being the universal title?
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way. I read it at face value, and it was just the Fiend snapping Seth Rollins in half.
Definitely, but if you look at everything Bray does, it has subtext. You know, when he says I've got so many friends, but they're all that translates to victims. He speaks in double speak a lot of the time.
Right.
So I don't think that it's there's so much consideration put into every aspect of the character, even the Fiend mask, where it's not black paint around his eyes and mouth. It's burned away. It's meant to look like it's been burned. And I wonder if that's a reference to the fact that his shack was burned by Randy Orton. There's all of these layers, and you can look at them and say, this guy was out for 6 months thinking really hard, and Bray is a smart dude. He was thinking really hard about every aspect of this character. And one of the reasons why I think people are really engaged with this character is because when you spend that much time and effort putting in details that people won't even necessarily know are there, but that you know are there, you feel that weight of depth. Some of my favorite albums of all time, for example, are concept albums. Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile, Pink Floyd's The Wall. They're albums where you can tell that the artists put in so much time and effort into thinking about the world they're creating on the album, and you feel that in every song. Even if you don't know what the overall picture is, you can sense it being there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the Fiend is, where every time he speaks or has something to say, I look at that. And Bray's been doing this for years, by the way, in his promos. It's just before it kind of got a little muddled with his character at a certain point, and it got to be a little bit too much. But now I feel like it's much more clean.
Yeah,
it's much more of a clean process coming from his head into our screens, if you will. So it makes me wonder if there's an intention behind everything he does. I wonder if there's an intention behind it. If that makes sense.
I think this has been well planned out.
Exactly.
I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. We did see some kind of, I don't know whether it was fake or if it was fan-made or what it was. There was some kind of video preview of the Fiend version of the Universal title that we got to see in some
cool
video. That looked pretty cool. I don't know what the source of that was, whether it was legit or not, but I mean, it's inevitable that they're going to put that on him, in my opinion.
You think so?
It's not if, it's when. And what I've always said is keep it in your pants, make it a big deal when you do put it on him. If he wants to beat up Seth and have matches, fine. But we always said the conundrum was he has to look strong, he has to win. So the fallacy here for me is that you're throwing him into title contentions where you have to potentially bury other superstars in order to put Bray's Fiend over. And I don't know what side I fall on yet, and I'm not ready to make that decision. And I think that's kind of the fallacy right there. It's happened too fast. So I don't know. And
we've speculated that it's possible to have the Fiend win and get the title this soon and have it work out and have it be okay. Mm-hmm. Actually I want to address something that just happened in the chat here. Jay Dillon just asked, will we be upset if Rollins beats the Fiend? And you know what? If he beats the Fiend clean at this point, yeah, what a waste. That will be a horrible booking decision if Seth beats Bray. there's got to be some sort of muddled finish here. There's got to be, like, if they're not going to put the title on Bray here, he can't lose clean at this point. He just put down Strowman. He's put down every legend that they've had come on the show except for Stone Cold. Like, you can't have him eat a pin at this point, or it's just, you might as well just shoot him in the kneecaps if he does that. But at the same time, him getting the title, him not having the title is fine. Again, then they're keeping it in their pants a bit. But him getting the title, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think that there's a lot that they can do with that.
Yeah, and I don't know that The Fiend cares about getting a title. That's
my point.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. Like, why all of a sudden does The Fiend care about getting a title? He should just care about running roughshod and beating everybody up that he comes across, including someone like Braun Strowman. In my mind, that was cool. That gave him extra power. That was fine. But throwing him in a Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship 2 months after this whole thing has been going on, I'm scared. I'm scared they're going to F it up.
The only thing I can think is that there is another aspect of the character they haven't revealed yet, something to do with his split personality, something to do with, the fact that he seems to occasionally have like wars in his own head. During his last match against Finn Balor, at least he did. And I'm wondering if, that like having a plot twist to do with the character itself is how Seth retains, if Seth does retain. So luckily, this is why The Fiend is such a fascinating character to so many people. And the best thing WWE is doing right now on the main roster is because there is just so much to it. And there's so much they can do with it. They're not just on rails like these two people are fighting. At some point, they will have a match. There's so much character-wise they can do with him. And that's, you said you love to have your stories in wrestling. This is one where this is why we were just saying a few minutes ago, Lucha Underground was so great. It wasn't even necessarily about who won and who lost, and you could have wins and losses that weren't tied to if this person was strong or a good wrestler. You could have finishes that were tied more to psychological things that were happening with the character. Yeah. And you could understand if someone lost, and it wouldn't damage them in terms of our perception of them.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if you're right. I'm wondering if we're going to get the whole Smeagol and Gollum dynamic where we get Bray in his red sweater coming down as, Bray Rogers. I don't know what you want to call that. If the puppets are ever going to make it down into the ring. Are we ever going to see anything aside from The Fiend come out through the curtain? There's opportunities there that don't require us to throw you into a end-all, be-all Hell in a Cell match for the top title.
I do know that thanks to the Adam Rose gimmick, they do have a bunny suit. So there's at some point Ramblin' Rabbit could come out and just, you could have like, what do you have? Like Grand Metalik in a bunny costume, and he could play Ramblin' Rabbit and have Matt. No, Nick, you're not. No? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, let's move on then and talk about another great thing that happened on the show, and that was a fatal 5-way match for a number one contenders. It was shot at the title next week. Basically, if you win this, you get a shot at Seth Rollins next week. And this was the 5 guys they chose, Nick. Rey Mysterio, AJ Styles, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Bobby Roode. I got to say, Robert Roode felt like a little bit like the odd man out here, but it made sense by the end, and he was honestly fantastic. He held up against these other 4 guys. I just kept watching this match, Nick, going, what? If you told me that this match was going to happen 4 years ago in the WWE, my head would have exploded.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been possible.
No, but it was crazy. And what was nuts and this was a fantastic match, by the way. Really exciting, lots of twists. Everyone did their work great. It wasn't like a lot of WWE stuff where it's just 2 guys in the ring at a time and then they trade out. There's a lot of fast-paced action. But
we also had we had 3 championships in this match as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the other crazy thing. At no point were they like, a lot of times these guys have had individual feuds with each other, right? This was more exciting than all of those feuds. Like, this was just every time that they were like Shinsuke and AJ, when they got their little time to be together, I was like, where was this when you guys were feuding?
Yeah.
Where was this?
Yep.
It was awesome. What a great match. And it was, I even liked the way that they broke it down. So you had Ricochet get taken out first, which normally I would be like, what have you done? But the way that they handled it with Nakamura kind of, he had Robert Roode beaten Nakamura, assassinated him from behind, was great. And then AJ Styles took out Nakamura, and it seemed legitimate. Bobby Roode pinned AJ Styles clean as a whistle, which was wild. And then finally you had Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Roode. And Bobby Roode, man, did he made Mysterio look fantastic. Mysterio made himself look fantastic, but Bobby also really put in some great work here. And ended up eating a 619 and a frog splash. Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins will be on your season premiere of Raw next week. What do you think? Is Rey the guy who should have won this?
No.
Nope. Are you satisfied with that? No. Who do you think should have won?
I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not. I think Bobby
knowing you.
I mean, I think the next one up for the number one contendership for the Universal title, Rey Mysterio? Really?
Yeah, it's going to be... I'll explain why it makes complete sense, Nick, but go ahead.
I think it should have been Ricochet.
Okay.
And that's not just me being a fanboy, because obviously I am. But at the same time, Rude's got the tag championship, Shinsuke's got Intercontinental, AJ's got US. So for me, it was Rey or Ricochet. I would much rather see Ricochet versus Seth Rollins. That match alone right there, just me going, I'm salivating just thinking about the potential of that match. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the reason why I didn't want Ricochet to do this next week is Seth is currently in a feud with Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt has been taking out people that get into the ring with Seth Rollins. Doesn't it make sense to have a resurgent Rey Mysterio who is currently doing all of these? Like, I'm doing this match for my son, Dominic.
And he's a legend, too.
And he's a legend.
Yeah,
he makes a lot of perfect sense. He makes perfect sense. You're the man who preaches, keep it in your pants, WWE. Keep Ricochet and Seth in your pants. That's one that's going to be a match that keep it in your pants. Keep it for further down the line.
Here's the question, though, for all of the patrons out there: Does Dominic come out as Sin Cara and save his dad from the Fiend once the Fiend locks him into the mandible claw? Never mind. We'll move on.
No, he doesn't. Let's move on. We had a King of the Ring rematch. Chad Gable versus Baron Corbin again.
Why?
And when I heard, that's what I thought. I thought when I first heard this, I don't know why. Didn't we just see this? Corbin's just giving Gable a rematch just to make fun of him. They put out another banger match. It was another great match between these two guys.
It was fantastic.
And the finish saw Baron Corbin getting DQ'd because he couldn't beat Chad Gable again, so he got DQ'd. This was just to put more heat on Corbin and get more sympathy for Gable. It was totally effective. It made Gable look great. It made, frankly, I thought it even helped Corbin because it just puts that much more heat on him. And people who are already displeased about him winning King of the Ring, this is what it was all about. He comes out not in like the goofy, bought at Oz looking red and white cape that Gable ripped up last week, and not the crappy little plastic crown that he stomped on. King Corbin, as he will now be known for a while, came out in a black cape with it looked like wolf fur. Like he looked like he came out of Game of Thrones. Black crown.
That black crown was dope.
It was great. The scepter, not so much. It was like a spray painted black scepter.
Right.
But whatever, it was fine. It was a great look. They've edited his music, so now sadly it wasn't really good edit. Like they kind of have inserted some horns and singing into his existing theme. They got to do a little bit more work on it. It just feels like they just kind of cut and paste it into Logic. They didn't really transition it well, and it still feels like they're doing when they have a new tag team and they just kind of like fade back and forth between the two theme songs really quickly.
Right.
Still sounds a little bit like that, but I like the intention and it worked to a certain degree. But Nick, what did you think about our first, because he's going to do this is going to be his new gimmick. It was Constable Corbin. Now it's going to be King Corbin for a while. What did you think of our first look at King Corbin?
Loved it. I instantly loved the unique look of the cape, whatever you want to call it. His not cowl, but whatever you call the shoulder, his spalders, I guess, if you will. The wolf stuff, because he is the wolf, the lone wolf. I think that fit very well. The black crown is the thing that I geeked out about the most. I absolutely loved the black crown. But I think, yeah, he's going to play this part really well. Does it turn into Constable Corbin 2.0, where he just kind of gets his way and weasels his way around things? Maybe, but I just don't know what else they're going to do with it beyond this kind of stuff.
Well, frankly, I think he's just going to be that mid-card heel that gets over the mid-card faces. Like anyone's going to get cheered against him at this point. And he's really honed that just smarmy heel thing to a laser point.
Yeah.
And you could see it in this match where people you can't help but want to boo this man at this point. And honestly, like I will say it, I love the fact that he is one of the few true modern heels that gets it and is not out there trying to have anyone like him. And he's going to be just as horrible as possible.
Yeah.
In order to make us hate him. I don't think it's going to go the way of Constable Corbin, because I don't think that he's going to become the scapegoat for every problem that WWE has, the way that he was back in December of last year.
No, I didn't
where they basically said,
I didn't mean
everything that's
scapegoat.
all of our. Then what did you mean?
It was more about, is he going to get his way? Is he going to get special treatment, or is he going to get to call matches or any of that kind of stuff? Like normally, when was the last King of the Ring we had? Was it Booker T? Wade Barrett.
No, it was Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett. So what did he do other than have bad news all the time? What's Baron Corbin going to do?
Besides come out and gloat that he's the king and you're all his subjects and you're all peasants. By the way, I beat Kurt Angle, retired him. By the way, did all these things. Like, he's got a bunch of things. He's got a bunch of weapons in his arsenal now to get that heat. And I think that it's going to stay on a roll for him. Yeah. So, but I think it's fantastic. The only thing that's great, I'm still stuck on the fact that Vince McMahon is like, oh yeah, he'll get over because he's really handsome.
Wow.
I still can't get over that. A few more other things that happened on Raw. Sasha Banks had a long match against Nikki Cross. I don't know why we're continuing to have on Raw Sasha Banks versus varying iterations of the women's tag team champs. We're getting her versus Alexa Bliss next week. All right. And there really wasn't much to the story of this match other than they gave him a lot of time to work with.
It's what you do between pay-per-views. They have singles matches, and look for Bayley to have a match with Alexa Bliss at some point. Maybe this ends up with something at Hell in a Cell. I do know that
Bayley will.
Well, they've announced something for the next Friday SmackDown show with Charlotte and Becky versus Sasha and Bayley. And I'm going, are they going to give them the women's tag championships by the time between now and next Friday?
No, I think it's just they want to have some high level women for Sasha to face, but they have other women around. I guess it's just that they don't feel it will make Sasha look as strong if they have her face someone who just like a Naomi that hasn't been on TV, or Natalya that nobody cares about. This is someone people care about. People care about Nikki Cross at this point. It's just unfortunate that she's also their women's tag team champion, and that seems to be the way of their tag division. So they're there to prop up the headliners. Yeah. And that was the case here. Nikki Cross tapped out eventually. Bayley did act like a heel, got up in the ring and distracted Nikki. So, but yeah, that's really all there was to this. It was a fine match. It was well worked. I mean, Nikki is a massively underrated wrestler. So it was nice to see her get in there and get to actually do some work against Sasha. And Sasha, by the way, is looking really clean. Like, her wrestling was looking very good stuff.
Yep.
In other women's news, Carmella finally, we speculated, months ago we speculated this, Nick?
When it first was unveiled and R-Truth was the first one to get it, it's only a matter of time before Carmella turns on him and she's the first women's champ. That didn't happen because Kelly got it. It was Raw 25, I think is what it was. But it's finally, Carmella finally turns on R-Truth and is your current and new 24/7 champion.
Finally goes to the women's division.
And immediately, as soon as she got it, and R-Truth raised her hand and pointed at her.
I was like, all right, you got me.
Yeah. And then down the ramp comes the entire women's locker room to now chase since the woman has. I think that's fantastic. I did not see that coming. I didn't expect it. I loved the kind of sort of role reversal that happened there. So you put it on a woman, now the women chase. Love that. I think that's fantastic. Gives that locker room something to do as well.
Well, and I also like the fact that they, like, R-Truth is like, all right, we're still cool. Fine. You got me. All right, I'll still be your buddy, and we'll still do this whole chase thing, which is funny because Carmella was saying, I'm so sick of doing all this chasing around and stuff.
But she immediately hops up on his shoulders and they run out of the arena, right?
Right. So, okay, we're still going to do it. All right. WWE logic, hashtag WWE logic. But whatever, it's fine. I agree with you. This is fun. It's to change up. It's something new. The only, and honestly, like, I already have my speculation about where they're going with this. And it has to, and Drake Maverick's going to get back into the picture because now Renee Michelle is chasing after Carmella. So if Renee wins this belt, all of a sudden Drake might finally consummate his marriage. Oh. Yeah, little buddy. That being said, the one thing that makes me nuts, one of the women that's chasing the belt right now, Asuka. And that makes me insane, Nick. It makes me insane that she's been reduced to chasing, like, one of the people chasing after a hardcore 24/7 championship.
You know what? You guys know how I feel about what happened prior to WrestleMania with Asuka. So I want to say something here that might be viewed as a little bit controversial. That girl's doing her. And she's got a gaming channel on YouTube now. She's having a blast. She's hanging out with one of her best friends, Kairi Sane, in the Kabuki Warriors. But she looks like she's relaxed, having fun, and just taking a break. She put on a 2+ year reign undefeated in NXT. So for the last year, yeah. Have we been mad because Asuka, Robble, we want Asuka, she's better than that because we're smarky about it. But she's just having fun right now. That's the impression that I get. So yeah, if she wants to run around and chase the 24/7 championship while she plays video games on a YouTube channel, fantastic. Let her have it. I don't think Asuka, it's fine. She'll be back. We're not going to get anyone else near those women's championships right now while we're building towards this, whatever the hell they're going to do with the 4 horsewomen of NXT. That's going to be a thing probably through the rest of the year.
I agree. And if it's something where that is their goal, is to have a 4 horsewoman fatal 4-way at next year's WrestleMania and have that be the headliner, if that is there, because Vince always says he plans for WrestleMania. Yeah. You know, he starts the year, okay, this is what I want at next year's WrestleMania. If that's the case and they're just shelving Asuka until after that, fine.
Yep.
As long as that's the mentality is, okay, Asuka will build Asuka up. Because you can shelf her for 9 months and then have her come back in 9 months and it's like, oh yeah, remember? Asuka's a badass, and we'll all buy in. She's not one that I think people are going to forget is a badass, or not, you know, you can build her up and then we don't care about her. That's Natalya, or someone like Natalya, right? Where all of a sudden she'll come out of nowhere and they build her up as being someone who can take on the champ, and you're like, what?
Yeah, no.
What? No. That ship has sailed, guys. You jobbed her out way too much.
Yeah.
So, but Asuka, I believe, like, you can put her on the sidelines and have her be a dominant tag team, and bring her back after you're done doing this 4 horsewoman storyline, and it'll be fine. But just for every time I see it, it's just right there in the feels. Damn it.
I want to talk about the next thing. Oh my God, I want to talk about the next thing.
I bet you do. A bunch of your favorite flavors in the ring at once. The Viking Raider War Machine thing. Viking Raiders had a match against the OC. That feud is happening. Also, AJ Styles was ringside. He was kicked out by the ref, and then was attacked by Cedric Alexander. That's
Didn't even get up the ramp. Cedric Alexander comes out and starts whooping his ass.
Jumped him. They're having a match next week for the U.S. title. But what do you want to say about Viking Raiders and the OC? Give it to me.
Finally. Now, I need your New Japan expertise here, because we did have this conversation on Monday in Discord during the show. In New Japan, did War Machine ever cross paths with the Good Brothers, or had they left already?
No, the Good Brothers were already gone by that point.
That's what I thought. I don't think they... Yeah. So, finally, to me, this is kind of a tag team dream match. Because reasons of old from the New Japan eras. But seeing the Good Brothers versus War Machine is something that, A, I didn't really see coming, and B, I didn't know I wanted as bad as I do. My fear is that this was a one-off. But I want to see, like, those 2 teams, 2 legit tag teams that have been tag teams forever, actually having real tag team matches, and damn, it was good.
Yeah, and frankly, also it's something they've been building for a couple of weeks. They've had Viking Raiders on the squash trail for a while, and it was getting horribly bad, like just
Yeah.
getting redundant. This is like I'm happy we're doing this. We're having tag team competition outside of the tag team title picture. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
This was frankly my favorite match of the week.
Of course it was.
It's the one big thing that I remember happened.
Oh,
I don't remember
geez.
the details of the match itself, but I remember
Right.
that it happened.
And you loved it.
And I absolutely loved the fact that we got two legit tag teams having a badass tag team match, and I was reminded how good that can be when it's done properly. And that was my takeaway from it, and one of my big takeaways of the week, and I just hope we get to see more of it. I really do.
Well, all right. I'm going to leave it at that, man, because I love seeing you happy about something on Raw. Well, I'm going to take it down a notch because we do have some things that happened that was just kind of, they're just there. Lacey Evans had a match against Ember Moon, and she tapped out Ember Moon in one of the worst sharpshooters I've seen since The Rock.
With Natalia watching backstage and go, that's not how you do a sharpshooter. And she botched the sharpshooter and fell over in the middle of doing it. Like, just come on. God
damn it.
It's like one of the easiest submission moves to do. Come on, Lacey.
But it was what really killed me was that she did it to Ember Moon. Ember Moon. Talk about underutilized, underappreciated, underrated wrestlers on their roster. Ember Moon going out there and doing the JOB to LACEY. All right. Well, so that's happening. Looks like Lacey and Natalia are still in a feud, and Ember is fodder for it.
Good God.
My heart, it hurts. Rusev, EC3 is also still cannon fodder. Whose coffee did he pee in? He got jobbed out to Rusev, who basically was back being like, I am Rusev. This is what I do. Accolade. Great. All right.
Done. All right.
Machka. All right. I'm apparently a baby daddy. I hate it.
He's got twins sitting up on his shoulders. Good God, those traps. He overflexed them several times this week, and it was just like they're knots. They look like mesas that live in Arizona that just flat mountaintops. Somehow they were surgically implanted.
I'm convinced because I know Rusev is a big fan of Bolo Young from Bloodsport and like millions of other movies. I'm convinced that he's like, all right, I'll never have pecs like Bolo Young, but you know what I do have? I've got my traps, and I'm going to do with my traps what Bolo Young does with his boobs.
And that is
just make them massive and terrifying. Every time you see me, go, God damn, that boy's got some traps. So, Rusev getting it. Also, lastly on Raw, poor EC3.
Just I don't even know anymore. Like,
Oh God, his gimmick is at this point is just like hangdog. Yeah, I know, guys. Trust me, I know. Finally, I really want to know what he did. What did he do wrong? It wasn't just working for TNA. A lot of like Robert Roode worked for TNA. What is different about EC3? AOP had another one of their segments, and Nick, I loved this. I'm not sure. I don't know this for a fact. This is completely out of the blue speculation. This felt like it had Paul Heyman's hands all over it. It was the two guys, same thing as last week. The two guys sitting in the chair in suits looking like big mafioso thugs. They introduce themselves. Hi, I'm Razor. Hi, I'm Akam. And we are the authors of Pain, a.k.a. AOP. I like the fact that they made sure to tell you what AOP stood for.
Yeah.
And then they went into speaking their own respective native languages and essentially saying, no one here wants to fight us because we're too scary. You wonder why they don't want to fight us? We'll show you. And they get up out of their seats, walk out of the camera, just kind of follows them into the hallway, and they beat up the first two superstars they find, which of course was No Way Jose and Heath Slater because of course. But then the camera gets knocked in the process, and then it just cuts to them being back in the chairs, a little mussed up, and they're like, that's why people don't want to fight us, because we're bad MFers, essentially. I loved this. What a great way to break the narrative, to break the structure that we're used to for these kinds of backstage interview segments. Like, we just got off of 2 months of Aleister Black basically stabbing us in the ears, and this is now what they're doing instead.
Okay.
So
I love this. I want more of it. I actually
Yes.
want to see them have a match. I'd like to see that at some point. I would be over the moon if your prophecy is right and they come out as Paul Heyman guys. I think that would be just through the roof. That would be one I would be if they turned out to be like, God, please don't hate. If they turned out to be somewhat goons of some kind or enforcers behind Brock Lesnar, I could see something like that kind of working. And believe me, it hasn't fully baked, but it gets them time around the right people. But they're Paul Heyman guy. All of that, there's so much potential there.
That's like potentially the most dominant faction in decades in WWE. If you put Brock Lesnar with AOP and book them right, like that's terrifying. That's interesting. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be literally Paul Heyman guys. I just think that he's now that he's executive producer of the show.
I know what you mean.
Executive director. I think that he's just getting his hands on some of this and being like, this is how we should. It felt like some of those old ECW promos where they would break a little bit from what you expect. They would subvert your expectations.
Right.
So loved it. Overall, very strong Raw this week. A couple of lesser segments, but overall, I thought a really strong way to go into their season premiere. That being said, I was a little disappointed with SmackDown, but Nick, in order to discuss that, we have to go talk about Smackdown Live.
Oh boy. All right. So to set this up, Sasha Banks and Bayley had a match with Charlotte Flair and Carmella, and it was mostly just a mess. And all of this stuff was really, in my mind, just to set up what's going to go down on the premiere of SmackDown on Fox a week from tomorrow. Ian, what did you think about how this all ended up between three of the four horsewomen and Carmella?
Well, first thing I'll say is that SmackDown was killing me this week because Hulu has moved SmackDown to its live section, which means that we can't watch it. So I had to piece together my viewing of SmackDown all over the place. It was interesting.
Well, it turned out, funny enough for me, I was in Iceland, and little do you guys know, if you're in the U.S., they actually upload full episodes of Raw and SmackDown sporadically to the WWE YouTube channel, but you can't watch them if you're in the U.S. So that's how I watch SmackDown. They just put it up on the YouTube channel for no reason.
Well, must be nice,
know that.
Nick. Must be nice, buddy.
I have to go all the way to I have to go all the way to Iceland to watch WWE.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Nick. Okay, next week when I want to watch SmackDown, I'll just go to Iceland. I appreciate that. Great tip there, buddy.
Yeah.
No, as far as this match is concerned, there's a lot of stuff on SmackDown I felt was spinning wheels, and this was kind of like that. We're setting up. We've already seen them have a tag match, Charlotte and Becky versus Sasha and Bayley. We've already seen that tag match, but we're gonna get it again next week on Friday, which. Fine, it was great last time. It'll be great again. But this match was just kind of a placeholder because it was almost that match, except that it was Carmella instead of Becky Lynch. So that was kind of weird. And of course, Carmella ate the pin. She actually ate a tap out through a nice reversal sequence, and then was immediately hoisted on R-Truth's shoulders, and they both ran out with the women chasing them because, of course, she's still 24/7 champ. And then afterwards, Charlotte Flair gets beaten down. Becky comes out for the save. We have a whole kerfuffle. And afterwards, Becky Lynch is being interviewed backstage, and Sasha attacks her from behind while she's being interviewed, shoves her face into some hurricane wire and so forth. So steel cage. Look, we're going to be in a steel cage on Hell in a Cell. Get it? Here's my question to you, Nick.
Okay.
Is Sasha and Becky, is it lackluster right now? Because we're not building towards a definitive feud with anybody else in this. Bayley and Carmella are kind of doing something. Charlotte is just kind of there.
Yeah, you know what it is? Sasha came. Look, I'm still bent out of shape about the SummerSlam thing, as you guys know, because it didn't happen. Didn't happen the way I wanted it to.
Hashtag more
but
wrestling.
I think that contributed to the fact that we now have something that's there's no meat. You're basically getting a bun with no patty in the middle. You're gonna eat two pieces of bread because the attack happened and they went straight to physicality, and they've already kind of DQ'd each other during matches and things like that, and now we're gonna go straight to Hell in a Cell. There's no story, there's no nothing, there's no vegetables in the middle, there's no nothing, right? There's no meat and potatoes. There's no substance. You're just getting two pieces of bread. And sure, it'll be fun. I'm sure the bread's tasty. I'm going to keep going until you interrupt me here.
Hashtag Nick metaphors.
Yep.
All right. No, but oh, I'm on a carb-free diet right now, Nick. No, here's the thing is that I agree. I feel like this is a little bit vanilla, and it's kind of what we were saying earlier about the Fiend and Seth feud, and also, looking at what they're doing with AOP, where you subvert our expectations. You do things we don't expect. I liked Sasha attacking her from behind backstage. The physicality was nice. That was unexpected and something you don't see a lot. I liked Becky's promo on Raw where she said, is Sasha on a roll right now? Yes, and I wouldn't have it any other way because I want to face people at their best because that's who I am.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, it's a great character definition on Becky's part. Something is just missing, and I wish I could put my finger on what it is. The intensity is for the most part there. I just feel like there needs to be the two of them need to do something that we haven't seen before. They need to go.
Sasha didn't attack Becky. She came out and attacked Natalya during her Crybaby Daddy speech. And Becky just came out at the beginning of this
to
whole
save
thing.
it for some reason. But at this point, what I'm saying is I think they need to do something that is buzz-getting, something that is like an extra level, like Braun Strowman flipping the ambulance. Obviously not literally that, but something like that where we go, oh my God, they went there. And they haven't done that yet. They haven't had a moment where we go, wow, Sasha and Becky has gone to the next level. It hasn't gone to the next level. It's on one level, and it hasn't really moved, and it hasn't moved the needle. And I don't think sticking them in Hell in a Cell and just saying it's going to be in Hell in a Cell is going to change that.
Yay.
Because that means we're waiting until Hell in a Cell to see the thing really go crazy. I don't know.
We've already seen Sasha and Charlotte in Hell in a Cell last year. Now we're going to get Sasha, and it was horrible. And now we're going to get Sasha and Becky and expect it to be better? With no build, no story, no substance, no context, just, because reasons. Because they are mad at each other. Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be something else. But, at least that 4 Horsewomen match next week on Friday should be good. Can't complain about getting good things. Daniel Bryan and Roman are now buddies again. At least we found that out because Daniel Bryan had a match against Rowan. Of course, there was interference from Harper. Of course, Daniel Bryan started getting beaten down. Roman came out for the save. And afterwards, it looked like Daniel Bryan turned a little bit face and said, you and me, Roman, we're going to kick their disrespectful asses. And the whole crowd did a yes. Well, most of the crowd did a yes chant. They're still kind of like.
You could see he even started to do the shoulder things, and then he stopped. If you watch close, go back and watch it if you missed it.
Yeah.
But when the crowd was doing yes, 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 he even did 2 or 3 little pumps and then stopped himself. And I thought that was interesting. And the other part was after the match, Roman reached out. Daniel was on the mat. Roman reached out, and Daniel slapped his hand away. And it's little things like that Daniel Bryan can pull off that I go, oh, okay, we're not buddies yet. We're not cool yet. We're gonna slow roll this return to face.
And it's why Daniel Bryan is one of the greatest sports entertainers on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
And I use that term specifically as opposed to because he's one of the greatest wrestlers. But as far as sports entertainment, he is the total package.
Yeah.
He gets every aspect of the performance. And this is an example of this whole sequence was an example of that. Here's my question: Is this a swerve? Is this just where Daniel Bryan's going to play like he's face and then turn on Roman and form a faction with Harper and Rowan at Hell in a Cell? If he stays face, is it too soon to turn him back to being face? Or if it's a swerve and he stays heel and joins up with Harper and Rowan, is that a bad idea for Harper and Rowan?
No, I think it's a bad idea to turn him, like the first thing you said, turn him back face already. I think having him as, you get Team Hell No vibes easily from him and Rowan, right? You throw Harper into that mix and it feels more like,
the Wyatt family.
Yeah. Which was really good. We all really liked the Wyatt family. So with someone arguably better than Bray Wyatt at the front end of it, yeah. And they all turn and just kind of eviscerate Roman Reigns. I could see that happening. What I will say is that it better be something interesting like that, because if it's vanilla AF,
yeah,
I'm gonna be real upset and concerned, like for all of these guys.
If it's just Daniel Bryan and Roman standing tall at Hell in a Cell and going, ha ha, we beat those dastardly Bludgeon Brothers, I mean Harper and Rowan, then yeah, I'm going to be disappointed too and be like, really, that's all you had? After all of this, after all of that convoluted or horrible storyline, this is what we get?
Like this whole ride that we've been on with the vegan belt and save the world and all of that will have been for naught, in my opinion. Why even turn Daniel Bryan in the first place and spend that capital if you're not going to have something come out of it? And yeah, he did have a championship run that led to Kofi, and Kofi's had the championship since April, since Mania. But what sense? This is the only angle we've really got going with Daniel Bryan and Rowan, and now it's got Roman Reigns circling it.
I think that there was so much more that they could have mined with a heel Daniel Bryan. They really could have. The guy was on a roll. So hopefully it is. I hope it's a swerve. And honestly, if he does join up with Harper and Rowan, can you imagine him coming out with like vegan metal shirts? Well, they're coming out. I'm just saying. Like just every week, cattle decapitation. Every week, militant vegan metal.
Cannibal Corpse. Yeah.
No. Cattle decap. They're literally militant vegans.
Yeah.
Like just them and Morrissey.
Yeah.
But in other, the shirt watch. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Harper Rowan shirt watch.
Actual shirt watch. This week it was Hatebreed on Harper and Killswitch Engage on Rowan. Neither of them are my favorites, but they're fine.
I love both of them.
Very popular. They're right up your alley. Yep. So. Yeah,
I guess Rowan let Harper borrow his Hatebreed T-shirt from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's probably didn't wash either. It's got the sweat marks on it for Harper.
It's weird. They went from being the Bludgeon Brothers to evil metalheads. I'm not mad at it.
I'm fine with that.
Speaking of things that I'm not mad at, we're finally going to see the end of Shane McMahon, Nick.
We're
on the cusp. We're up. Yes, Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon had it out in the ring this week. Shane brought his lawyers to try to convince Kevin to drop the lawsuit. Oh, the story, it hurts me to talk about it. Kevin Owens is suing Shane McMahon for wrongful termination. Apparently, he's got a case. He's got Shane scared. Shane agreed. I'm just going to roll through this because I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Shane agreed that if Kevin Owens and he have one more match, whoever wins keeps their job. Whoever loses goes away.
Well, those were Kevin's stipulations. Shane just gave him two options.
They agreed to that.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm trying to get through this, Nick.
Yeah. They did too. They had to get to a commercial or something or the end of the show, and they were just rushing right through it.
Oh, they were rushing that stuff. Well, we had to get to the Becky being beat down by Sasha thing.
Right.
But no, I'm glad they rushed through this because at this point, I'm with you, man. I finally hit my limit. I hit my break when, I'm done. I'm done. Get Shane off TV.
Victory.
Have it be over with. Have Kevin Owens beat him. I just want to see the end of this ladder match where Kevin Owens gets the briefcase or whatever it is, gets his job back, and moves on to a feud that actually makes him look good. Get Shane off TV. Let his perception by the audience recover because right now everyone is sick to death of him. And I hate to say it because I've been a supporter of a lot of this stuff over the year, ever since back last year with Miz and everything. And it really has like this.
It's go away heat at this point.
I am at a loss for words.
It's Jinder Mahal go away heat at this point.
Kevin Owens sued him. I can't. Nick.
All right, well let's move on to something that didn't suck, which was Ali and Nakamura. If you did not watch SmackDown Live this week, this is about the only reason to go watch because it was amazing. You have to go watch this match.
You're not wrong. This match was another awesome match. Of course, Sami Zayn got involved at the end. For some reason, Ali decided to focus on Sami Zayn at the end of the match, and Nakamura nailed him with the Kinshasa for the 1-2-3. I wonder if the feud with Ali is going to continue, and I would love it if it did, although I think Ali's just there to make Nakamura look good and to define what Nakamura and Zayn's relationship is.
Ali made Ali look good.
Yeah, of course he does.
That dude kicked out of everything.
He did. He kicked out a lot of nasty stuff, including just completely no-sold a suicide dive to the outside where he just basically landed on his head and neck and just popped back up like he was made of rubber and steel and was like, what? Sure. Man has been taking neck lessons from Kota Ibushi. That was a great match. It was a lot of fun. I'm curious to see if this felt like it was spinning wheels for Nakamura, just, getting him to look stronger. And hey, by the way, Ali is a lovable babyface who's fighting upwards. All right, cool. It was just kind of there. Also just kind of there for the first time in a long time. The Kabuki Warriors were back, Nick. and they had a match against Fire and Desire where they won with the insane elbow. All right. I wouldn't have even mentioned this match except for the fact that apparently they still put out magazines. Did you know they still print magazines? Also, did you know they still print Maxim? Maxim's still a thing. Our listeners who are in Australia, do you guys still actually read Maxim over there? Like, is that actually a thing? Because apparently Mandy Rose was on the cover and they couldn't stop talking about it this entire match. It was the only thing they could talk about the entire match.
Well, they did this when she was in Muscle and Fitness as well. So
they made an angle out of that with Ember
I bought
Moon.
2 magazines in the airport today on the way home. So yeah, I still read magazines.
Were they Maxim?
No, they were not Maxim.
Okay.
I just looked at those pictures online. The magazines I bought today were like how to rebuild your Windows PC to be faster. Tech nerd.
Oh God. Right.
No, so they did this with Muscle and Fitness. This is a Mandy Rose thing. It's a Mandy Rose gimmick.
It's a Mandy Rose thing.
But this didn't turn out. One of the banners that I've considered for this week's show was the shot of Otis Dozovich with 2 copies of it up stacked on top of each other reading. I thought that was. Oh yeah!
Brings a whole new meaning to I'm coming.
Alrighty then. Well, this
was a thing. So also a thing. New Day had a match against the B Team, and they won, and it just kind of was. Mike Kanellis interrupted Chad Gable, who was giving a speech about losing to Baron Corbin. Kanellis made some short jokes. Gable beat the crap out of him, snapped him. They had a match, put him in an ankle lock, tapped him out in 30 seconds because Kanellis wanted to prove to his wife that size does matter. All right, more of those. Only real thing here was that Elias at the end showed up on the Titantron and called out Chad Gable. What do you think about a possible Elias versus Chad Gable feud?
I'm not mad at it.
I'm curious. I'm
sitting here going, you just put Chad Gable in the King of the Ring finals. You had him go through all those guys. Yep. And now you're basically having him fight Mike Bennett, Kanellis, and Elias.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think this is going to be a 2-week thing because we're counting down to this to the draft.
Yeah.
And you can't really start feuds when there's a draft on the horizon.
That's true. Yeah, let them fight for the next couple of weeks and whatever.
Yep. Yeah, and it should be fun. Elias can make fun of his height. Chad Gable can end up actually winning a feud. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And then finally, Kofi did give a speech about how he's very confident in himself. He feels like he can beat Brock. He's never been better. Do you feel like he was overconfident in this promo? And does he actually stand a chance against Brock Lesnar?
Nope. Fox.
All right.
I just, what? Fox wants Brock. That's got to be what it is. There's no reason to send him over to the Smackdown brand with the WWE Championship. It just makes too much sense. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah. And here's the thing. They have released dates that Brock Lesnar has been advertised to appear. He will be on, of course, the September 30th Raw. So next Monday, he'll be on the Raw, probably promoting that SmackDown. He will be on that SmackDown, the October 4th SmackDown, where he's got the match against Kofi Kingston. He's also scheduled for the SmackDown after that on the 11th, and then 2 weeks after that on the 25th, and then 3 weeks after that in Philadelphia on the 15th of November. So he's got a few dates coming up, and that does not bode well for Mr. Kingston, I don't think.
Let me put it to you this way. Let's do a little Sales 101 role play. I want you to pretend for a second that you're an executive producer at Fox. All right, so I'm going to present to you our debut episode. Would you like, Mr. Exec Producer, to be your champion? You can have a dreadlocked, skinny, caved-in chest Jamaican dude who throws pancakes and wears unicorn horns. Or you can have Brock Lesnar.
Have you been listening to Superstar Billy Graham too much, man? Damn, that was a burial of Kofi there. What was that?
No, I'm talking about, you don't know anything about these two guys. Except the fact that Braun is a legit badass who's been in MMA and all that.
Brock Lesnar. Everyone knows Brock Lesnar.
Everybody knows Brock.
Hey, it's Kofi Kingston. Okay.
Who?
Right.
And then you show him a picture. Oh, it's this guy. He's really funny. What?
He's really funny.
Yeah, man. He's a good time. Rah, rah, rah.
And that's funny. That's the argument that Billy Graham was making is like he's not a believable champ. And from a certain aspect, I think a kind of a myopic aspect. Yeah, there is some truth to that. I think that the whole point is that he is an underdog babyface champ.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, he's also going to be on Raw. Thank you for reminding me of that, DJ Butters. He's going to be on Raw as well to set it all up.
I mentioned that. Yeah, he's on the September 30th Raw.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so to advertise that he's going to be on.
He's going to be the champ on Friday.
Right, it's the last time you see me without a belt. But that's the point you're making, is that the Fox executives now have a say in WWE programming. And if you were a Fox executive, who do you want? You want a draw. You want a proven draw. A guy who Vince McMahon has stuck in our faces for the last 3 years because the dude sells tickets. Like, sorry, guys, if you hate Brock having the championship, stop buying the tickets, because everyone buys the tickets when he's the champ.
Yep.
And he's got a match. He's still an attraction. So if Kofi retains, it will be shocking.
My mind will be blown, and I will throw away any wrestling knowledge that I have left in my head, because I don't know what else.
Are you saying you 100% believe Brock will win?
100%, 120%.
I only get this: 65% Brock wins. I am 35% think it's possible Kofi could retain.
You're such an LA non-committal, flaky kind of guy, man.
How dare you, sir? You're such a North Carolina mark.
Yeah, damn right I am.
All right. Well, that is it for SmackDown and Raw. Before we get over to the wide world of wrestling, though, I want to say one thing about main roster Raw. Just a quick little kind of philosophical aside, and this was brought up to me this week. Yeah, well, this is an interesting one, because this week there was I was having a discussion with Judith Brooke, ex-pro wrestler, one of our contributors for this show, and she was talking about how you feel very differently about wrestlers when they go to WWE. They wrestle different. Like, Ricochet doesn't wrestle the same way he does when he was in the Indies or even Lucha Underground. And the metaphor that she came up with was that it's kind of like a good actor going and being in a Marvel movie. You shouldn't expect Mark Ruffalo to be giving an Oscar award-winning performance. You shouldn't expect Robert Downey Jr. to give a performance like Chaplin when he's playing Iron Man, right? WWE is like a Marvel movie. It's a big, flashy action movie. You might have some moments that are really good and actually affect you, and you're going to have times where actors have to really act well. Chris Evans is going to have an emotional scene that's going to get to you when he's playing Captain America, right? So that you're going to have to use their chops as good actors to make your action comic book movie work. But you also shouldn't expect them to be in there giving the kind of performances that would, say, win them an Oscar.
Yeah.
So that was, I thought, a really interesting metaphor. And anyone who's down on WWE or is expecting something else from the main roster, think about it that way. Change your expectations, because that's what it is and that's what you're going to get.
Or go watch NXT.
Or go watch. You've got the options these days. If you don't want to watch the Marvel movies, go watch some indie movies. No one's stopping you.
If you want to go see that art house film, guess what? AEW TV is starting on Wednesday.
There's so many people that are mad at WWE for just being WWE. Like, it's a Marvel. Don't be mad at a Marvel movie for existing. Oh my God, these comic book movies, they're everywhere. Meh. You know what else is everywhere? Other movies. So that is a little rant.
They just don't have $100 million marketing budgets per film.
Right, but that's not the movie they're trying to make.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a fantastic analogy. I love that.
The diving bell and the butterfly with $100 million budget makes no sense. So, sorry, obscure movie reference. But that's mini rant over, little tangent segment there. Nick, let's move on. We have much to discuss over in the wide world of wrestling.
You know how I said earlier that I thought that Ali and Shinsuke Nakamura match was my favorite of the week?
Yes.
I told a lie.
Uh-huh.
Because even though I only watched it a few hours ago when I got home from traveling, Keith Lee and Dijak. And all I can think about whenever I watch these two, if I can do a little sidebar now, if you don't mind.
Please.
I'm taken back to the American Legion in Reseda. When 2016, 17, when we went to that one of the few final PWG events that they had at the Legion, before they moved over to the Globe. And I remember seeing Keith Lee. I remember seeing Pentagon and Ricochet and Jeff Cobb and all of those guys that, frankly, I had not done a good enough job catching or keeping up with because I'm WWE boy, you know?
Right.
So you kind of introduced me to a lot of that scene. But every time I look now and see Keith Lee and Dijak on NXT, I'm immediately transported and I'm reminded of all of the talent that is in WWE and or AEW. And if you look at Ricochet and Pentagon and Phoenix, and Jeff Cobb was just in the G1, Keith Lee, Dijak, Adam Cole, all of these guys that have come up, they're all, the new generation has arrived. I think that's what I really wanted to say, and I think I'm finally starting to get my head around that, because as we enter this whole new era of wrestling that's really starting this week, at this next week, we're looking at this whole new crop of talent that, while a lot of people might see them as new, are extremely experienced entertainers. And we have so much to look forward to. But Keith Lee and Dijak, man. Just, these are two of my favorite guys from PWG, from the things that I saw. And they've done great matches so far. And this week kind of put it all on the line. I saw 600 pounds of combined man do an Avalanche Canadian Destroyer. I'd like to, if anybody's seen that before, chat, holla at me, because I don't know
600 pounds specifically.
600 pound.
Yeah. Haas match, only it's built like a cruiserweight match.
Right.
Well, this is the thing, is that, and if people are wondering what Nick's referring to as far as seeing Keith Lee and Dijak fighting before in PWG, that was actually referring to night 3 of the 2017 Battle of Los Angeles. You can get it. You can get it online and check it out.
It
was actually
support those guys.
It was it's a fairly famous match. It was rated 5 stars by Dave Meltzer for whatever that's worth. But it's interesting to see this, which is, their third meeting in NXT, and how they've actually taken a couple of beats from that match, like Dijak doing the moonsault and then Keith Lee sitting up on the 1 count with Dijak in his arms. Stuff like that was in that match. And yeah, Nick, it's why you and I were both really high on these guys coming into NXT, and we've been kind of proselytizing them to our listeners ever since, was we were like, you guys just wait and see on these guys. And sure enough, they're doing it now. I guess my only question is once they're done reliving that match, then what? Then what is left? What is next for them after that? Because they're going to run this longer. This was they had a match that was a no contest. They had a match that Dijak won. They had another match, this one that Keith Lee won fairly handily.
Yeah, we're 1-1 now. We need the rubber match. We need the
rubber. Right. So is that going to be at a takeover? Are we going to get that another TV show? What happens after that? With both these guys?
I don't know. I think you need to put one of them in a title contention at some point. And I thought that one of the two of them might be in line, and I still kind of think that for the North American Championship, but we saw some other developments on that this week that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. What next? I don't know. I could totally see Keith Lee being a challenger for the NXT Championship.
Yeah.
It just needs to be booked properly, and I have all the faith in Trips and Regal and Shawn Michaels, for that matter, to really lay that out. And just please do right by these two guys. They can do great things for your division, because it can't be Undisputed Era forever. And
right.
It couldn't be Johnny Gargano and Ciampa forever, and it's not going to be Undisputed Era forever. So who's next?
It's
Make sure you line up what's next.
I was looking at the NXT roster, and also some people that are just down in the PC in general, and that people that can just show up. And it's mind-blowing to me, the depth of talent they're just sitting on there.
Yep.
Like I think you mentioned it last week, where you've got guys like Hijo de Fantasma have just signed up there, and I've watched something on the WWE PC YouTube channel this week about Rinku Singh, who, my God, where have they been hiding that guy? I know he had a match we saw a little while back, but that guy, if he's not too green, if he can work a match, future absolute breakout superstar. Like and there's a bunch of those guys. Their roster is so freaking huge, it's ridiculous. The depth of talent they have just hanging out.
Well, let's not forget about Damian Priest.
And Damian Priest is there as well.
Yes.
Including, we just saw the return this week of Dakota Kai. She came back and had a match against Taynara Conti. Not a good match. I thought Kai was very emotional that she was back. ACL surgery is no joke.
A little dusty in there.
Yeah.
During when she came out and she got frazzled, and
it was a little dusty, and she was a little rusty. And I don't know if Conti was the best person to put her against, because it's not like Conti is the best ring worker either yet. But I see potential, but she still doesn't. It's not quite there yet. Do you think that Kai is going to right this ship, and will she get back in the title picture? Should she get back in the title picture?
Not yet. There's plenty going around the title picture right now, in my opinion. You've got Rhea Ripley that's just come back, is probably next in line in some way, shape, or form. Io Shirai is still up there. I am fully expecting a Toni Storm appearance in the next few weeks, like especially since she dropped the belt at that takeover event.
Yep.
So
Kaylee Ray.
I mean, yep. So she is right there as well. So Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, Toni Storm. Dakota Kai will be fine for a few months. The lineup for
Candice LeRae.
I was concerned about the women's division when nobody's been able to take down Shayna. And if you look at what's lined up behind her now, there's a solid 3 to 4 women that are easy contenders.
Yeah.
Easy contenders to come in and do that. But it's not
Dakota
Kai
that
yet.
women's roster's got so much depth. You could actually break some of them off and have tag teams at this point. Although I think you already have a couple of tag teams, but I think that it's also a huge roster, and it's just getting more huge by the week.
Yeah.
Over on the men's side, speaking of
one last thing real quick.
Please.
She does still have beef with Shayna.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Let's not forget that from breaking her arm and doing all that wonky shit, right?
Yeah, that bullying ass thing they were doing.
Yes. I don't know if they're going to bring that back. It's been like 10 months she's been out, and lots has changed.
They briefly mentioned it on commentary.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. In Regal, I trust. At this point, in Trips, I trust. My hands are Jesus. Take the wheel, because I am on. I am all in on NXT at this point.
I think it's still a little early to be calling Triple H Jesus, but Jesus. We also had Matt Riddle and Killian Dane continued their street fight for now. It's a number 1 contendership street fight. Winner gets a title shot at Adam Cole. This was a knocker slobber, as you would imagine. Some hits were put on here. It was the first time I actually was sitting there going, man, Riddle needs to actually sell that he's been taking shots more. Like some of these shots, he was just like recovering from me, like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good. But he did pick up the win here. He finally tapped out Killian Dane in a nasty-looking Fujiwara armbar for the victory.
Got up in all the hips into it and everything, man. Jesus Christ!
When he cranked it, it looked great. Killian Dane finally gets a loss, taps out to Matt Riddle, who is your number 1 contender. Adam Cole comes down to jaw at a beaten-up Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle puts him in an armbar and gets chased off by the Undisputed Era. Matt Riddle's is that a good first contender for live on USA?
Yeah,
for Adam Cole.
I'm a fan. I like it.
What do you think he's going to win? Like, how long will the prophecy last here? Where they all have the
I'm
gold?
more worried about the North American title than I am the NXT championship at this point, frankly.
Why?
I don't think Roderick's going to hold it that long. I think there's so many dudes lined up. It's that perfect mid-card belt where you can just kind of toss it around and have fun with it. The NXT championship is a little bit delicate. I think you need to hold on to that for a while. Adam Cole's had it for a while at this point. When did he win it? SummerSlam? 3 months? Or was it Mania? It wasn't Mania that he took it off of Gargano, was it? I'm stumped now. I stumped myself. Anyway, he's had it for a minute, too. Right?
I think it was WrestleMania.
I think it was Mania.
Yeah.
That he defended it in like match 3 or whatever it was at the SummerSlam one. Yeah, come on, chat, weigh in for us.
Help us.
Help us out. At the end of the day, though, I think Adam Riddle having it is good. I think Undisputed Era having that NXT championship is good. I just don't know how much longer. I think it's more delicate, and they're going to keep that one longer than the North American championship on Roderick Strong.
You just called him Adam Riddle. Is that like Bro Bay?
Sorry, Adam. I'm really
tired. Baby bro.
Really, really tired, guys.
Baby bro. I'm excited. Riddle versus Adam Cole. I'm down for that match. Bring that the hell on. Also was a fan of Lorcan and Birch versus Everrise, which of course is Chase Parker and Matt Martell. Vintage Canadian tag team there. I think this was just a match to get Lorcan and Birch looking good for their 205 live match, which also was happened this week, which was great. Nice to see them on TV back together again. Also, speaking of together, Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green were hanging out together in the crowd. Possible tag team once Chelsea Green is off the injured list. I think that might be a good outcome for both of them. As we were just saying, the women's roster is stacked.
Yeah.
Cameron Grimes had a match against Raul Mendoza, who is still the NXT gatekeeper and is just way too damn good to be a gatekeeper. It kills me. The guy is so freaking good.
Yeah.
But he made Cameron Grimes look even better. So it's crazy how much love our boy Grimes is getting. A little Trevor Lee up in here. They are loving them some Trevor Lee right now, Nick.
North Carolina. Let's go.
I'm not mad at it either.
No. And the hat's growing on me. I think you said it last week. The hat's growing on me too.
Oh, I am still resistant. I'm still resisting the hat. I'm resisting the hat and the vest. I refuse. I will not go peacefully into this dark night.
Oh, okay.
Rhea Ripley, you mentioned her. She had a match against Caden Carter, formerly Lacey Lane. What do you think of Lacey Lane's new presentation? Excuse me, Caden Carter's new presentation. The music. She's not quite as like Ember Moony, Green Ember Moon anymore. They're saying she's from what did they say? Not the Virgin Islands, but the. I thought she was from. I know she's from Florida.
I don't know. I haven't been. I was there to watch Rhea Ripley. I'm not. I wasn't given a reason to care yet, honestly.
All right. Well, what did you think about the fact that she put up a bit of a fight against Rhea Ripley?
Look, Lacey Lane looked great in the Mae Young Classic from what I saw, and it's the same wrestler under there.
Except for her one big botch on the ropes, which she did right this time.
Right. Sure.
But aside from that, yeah, she looked great.
But her doing all those little springboard sort of luchadora type of moves, I think are great. It shows that kind of agility and a different style to a powerhouse bruiser like Rhea Ripley. Didn't matter. Once Rhea got a hold of her, she was done. And yeah, I just, at the end of this, it feels inevitable. I don't know where Io Shirai fits into this picture. Where does Io Shirai, it feels like they're setting her up to be that contender, but do we end up with a number one contenders match between Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley? Or do we end up in a triple threat?
After the Candice LeRae match, that would be my suspicion.
Yeah.
So, also, thank you, Andy Jessup. Thank you, champ. He pointed out Gargano beat Cole at Mania, and then Cole, remember, they went off the top of the cage.
That's right.
At SummerSlam, and then he won it back. So,
yeah.
Thank you, champ. So, yeah, we also had, in one of the bigger matches of the night, Imperium, minus Walter, versus Kushida and a tag team of his choice. And the tag team that he chose was Breezango. Which sounded great, and then we got to the match, which was basically 10 minutes of them working over Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
Finally, in the last, minute and a half, hot tagged Fandango. He goes nuts, clears the ring, and Kushida has a little bit of a hot streak and taps out, wasn't Eichner, Barthel. He taps out Barthel.
Yeah. The whole story of the match was trying to rearrange Tyler Breeze's face.
It was I almost feel like when they were booking this, it was like a goof. They were like, all right, how long do you think we can work over Breeze and not have the audience burn down the ring?
Yeah.
And because at a certain point I was like, oh my God.
How is this still going?
Tag. I wasn't excited for Fandango to come in. I was just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
God, get on with it. Come on.
Yeah.
So a little disappointing there. Kushida escapes and then eats a boot from Walter on the ramp to end the show. Just give me Kushida Walter in my eye holes right now. Just give it to me. Stop teasing me.
Please.
And if you want to do some more Breezango and Imperium on their own on the side, fine. This was a little disappointing. I'm not going to lie, but I love all these guys. And, even a bad match, quote unquote, bad match on NXT, still very, very watchable. One final thing, Nick, about NXT, quote unquote, the injury report was released after this show. They said that Adam Cole is questionable for action with a radius fracture suffered by Matt Riddle when he was giving them that armbar. They said Raul Mendoza has a rib fracture for getting stomped on for the finish of the Cameron Grimes match. Dominik Dijakovic is day-to-day with a cervical strain. after taking that big finish from Keith Lee.
He has a cervix?
Apparently.
Oh.
And then Kushida is also questionable with a wrist injury. This is the second week they've done this. Dream was also, quote-unquote, injured after the Roderick Strong match. AEW said they want to be more sports-centric, wins and losses matter, that kind of thing. Is this NXT's play at that? All of this is kayfabe, obviously. If Matt Riddle had actually injured Adam Cole with that armbar, everyone would be screaming for his head at this point.
Yeah.
Is this their nod at being more sportsy, where you have guys get, quote-unquote, injured, and it's not just taken to a local medical facility? He's had some internal contusions, the kind of poppycock we hear on the main roster.
Right.
This sounds more like a sports injury report.
Yeah, it does.
Where they say he's day to day.
Yeah, he's questionable.
You know what I mean? He's questionable. I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. It's the details every time we say, Nick.
You know what?
Hashtag
To your
details.
point, every Sunday morning, I am up. Now that we're back into football season, I'm up looking at my fantasy injury reports, seeing who's questionable, who's going to play. I got to hear Jay Glazer tell me who's in or out. I love this shit. This gets me up and makes me want to watch football for the NFL. It's going to make you invest in matches and maybe even alternative matches once you really start buying into some of this stuff. So yeah, I'm all in on this. I love it.
It feels more like a consistent tapestry as opposed to just like, here's a show, and then Seth Rollins is being murdered by the Fiend on Sunday, and he comes out fresh as a daisy on Monday, and you're like, wait, what? Like, keeping this kind of consistency and making it sound sportsy is the reason why we get into stuff like New Japan. It's the reason why AEW is probably taking that tack with making it sound sportsy, because people like fantasy football, as you said, it's such a huge freaking thing. Why would you not go for people's natural instincts to want to what do you even say? Statistic issues? I don't even, you know what I mean? Do statistics.
Yeah.
We want to do statistics. You saw me when I was trying to figure out the end of the G1 this year. I was breaking all the, all the bracketology there.
You guys didn't
love
get to
this
see
stuff.
all of that. I've seen the spreadsheets.
Jesus.
One thing I'll say here, the little epiphany I just had, talking about all of this, I know it's NXT, but what's getting ready to go? SmackDown's getting ready to go over to Fox. Whose name did I just say is on Fox on Sunday mornings? What if Jay Glazer starts doing injury reports for SmackDown Live on Fox?
Oh, my God. That would be interesting. They do have some love over there on ESPN and sports, or not on the Fox programs, you mean?
Yep.
Be interesting.
Yep.
If Fox playing it like kayfabe, that'd be interesting. I love that DJ Butters in our chat says Kona Reeves is hurt. Good.
Say it ain't so.
Good. Screw that guy. Worked much there, DJ Butters? Yeah. So let's couple more things. We got to get to listener questions. Quickly over to 205 Live, where Humberto Carrillo had a match with Angel Garza.
Ooh. He was looking at his sister.
His Angel Dong. His Garza Dong.
Hashtag Garza Dong.
Hashtag Garza Dong.
Finn Balor's out. We got to focus on Garza Dong now, guys.
Do we have to focus on it? It's not really a choice.
We don't have a choice.
We don't.
It's like,
it's
right there.
Latino Pepe Le Pew. But that was a fun match, as you would expect. I'm curious how long Garza stays on 205 Live. I think we're going to see more of this, like NXT UK and NXT, where all of Tripp's brands are going to start feeding into each other. We're going to start seeing guys go back and forth, as we saw with the fact that Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch had a tag match against Tony Nese and Cruiserweight champ Drew Gulak. They did win. Lorcan and Burch did pick up the victory here. So it makes me wonder if there's more in the future between Lorcan and Gulak, if they've got a little bit more planned there. I would have figured that they would have had Gulak win if he was going to put Oney in his rear view, but here we are, and Lorcan's picking up the win. So they did pin Nese, so it wasn't like Lorcan pinned Gulak, but still made me wonder.
Yeah.
Over to New Japan. This week, we're about to get their East Coast tour over here, and the whole card has been revealed for that. I'm going to try and rip through this pretty quickly. So if you're capable of going to these shows, you actually have a bunch of incredible matches lined up.
If you're in the Northeast, if you're in New England.
If you're in Lowell, Massachusetts, you've got headlining, you've got Okada, Tanahashi, and Ibushi versus Sonata, Evil, and Naito.
Wow.
Good Lord. Like right
Wow.
there. That's awesome. Gorillas of Destiny will be defending against Roppongi 3K. Goto, Yoshihashi, and Rocky Romero versus Jay White, Kenta, and Gato. Like, they are bringing everybody over for these East Coast shows. Ishii and Amazing Red versus Shingo Takagi and Bushi. That
Good
is a
Lord.
lights out match right there. Rock and Roll Express, which is Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, in case you didn't know, Nick, versus Chase Owens and Jado. As we know, Ricky Morton was Chase Owens' trainer, so that's going to be an emotional match. Juice Robinson and Mikey Nichols, formerly of NXT, versus TJP and Clark Connors. Lance Archer versus Ren Narita. Your boy Lance Archer is back. He's going to murder Ren Narita before he heads out on an excursion.
Yep.
And finally, Carl Fredericks versus Alec Coughlin. So, yeah, that Lowell, Massachusetts show sounds awesome. In New York on night 2 on September 28th, Okada and Ibushi versus Sonata and Evil. Kenta defending his openweight championship against Yoshihashi. Goto, Ishii, and Amazing Red versus Jay White, Chase Owens, and Gato.
Good God.
Tanahashi, and the Rock and Roll Express versus Naito, Shingo Takagi, and Bushi. Like, this is crazy.
So
Rocky
Rock
Romero,
and Roll Express, that's Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, right? Did I get it right?
Last time I checked, yes.
Right, I just wanted to make sure, right?
Do you want me to explain their long and storied history, Nick?
No, we can do that for a bonus episode just for someone special.
Just for you. Okay, cool. Then you've got Juice Robinson and Mikey Nichols versus Clark Connors and Alec Coughlin. Lance Archer again versus Carl Fredericks. And TJP, remember him, versus Ren Narita. Night 3, if you're in Philly.
Ren Narita's going to be a corpse after fighting Lance Archer.
Well,
TJP's going to have an easy win there.
He's literally going off on excursion after this tour. So he's not even going to fly back to Japan. He's going to L.A.
Oh, wow.
to train at the L.A. dojo. So this is his last. He's going to start off on an American tour. So it's kind of cool. Philly, September 29th. Tanahashi, Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and the Rock and Roll Express, which of course is Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson.
Right.
Versus Jay White, Kenta, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Chase Owens, and Gato in an elimination match. That's going to be absolute chaos. God. I'm actually really jealous of you guys on the East Coast. These matches sound awesome. Ibushi and TJP, the who gives a crap about our neck duo, versus Evil and Bushi. Juice Robinson, Sho and Yo versus Tetsuya Naito, Sonata, and Shingo Takagi.
God.
Amazing Red versus Ren Narita. Lance Archer versus Alex Coughlin. Mikey Nichols versus Carl Fredericks. And Rocky Romero versus Clark Connors. Sasha Banks. So, yeah, amazing shows over there on the East Coast Tour. They weren't messing around with these.
No.
And that's all before King of Pro Wrestling, which is October 4th at Sumo Hall back in Japan. We've got the full card for that, and it looks sick. Starting from the undercard, Taguchi, Sho and Yo versus El Desperado, who's coming back from a broken jaw, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Dookie. Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi, and Bushi versus Suzuki Gun, Zack Sabre Jr., Lance Archer, and Taichi. That's going to be awesome. Lance Archer back in action in Japan. Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi versus Jay White, Kenta, and Yujiro Takahashi. Jushin Thunder Liger. Here's where we get to the meat. Jushin Thunder Liger or possibly Kishin Liger, we don't know yet, versus Minoru Suzuki in a one-on-one match. It's happening. It's happening October 14th. Will Ospreay is defending his junior heavyweight championship against El Fantasmo. That's finally coming to a head. John Moxley is their U.S. champ. He will be back in action in Japan, defending against Juice Robinson in a no DQ match. That's going to be chaos. And then on the top of the card, Ibushi versus Evil for Ibushi's IWGP Heavyweight title shot at Wrestle Kingdom 14. I think we know how that's going to end, but still, it's going to be a great match. And then finally, Okada is finally defending his championship against Sonata, which Sonata earned when he beat him in the G1.
Right.
So, King of Pro Wrestling looking like a great card, albeit a little bit predictable, but still, that's a damn good-looking card.
Yeah, unless they want to completely rewrite what's going to happen at Wrestle Kingdom in a couple of months. It's pretty predictable.
Totally defy expectations.
Right.
So, yeah, we were saying that we've got so much wrestling to watch. Well, New Japan is not going to be left out of this. Yeah. They've got a bunch of wrestling coming our way, too.
Not to be outdone, for sure.
So, more there. But
all right, guys. that is good stuff. Thank you, Sir Ian, for breaking that down for us. I'm looking forward to watching a lot of New Japan again. I don't know when I'm going to have time to between our shows and all the other stuff that's happening in the next couple of weeks, but oh my goodness. All right. Time for listener questions. Guys, if you want to get in on this, remember, it is patrons only, so patreon.com/BWO. Thank you to all of our patrons, and thank you to all of you guys and girls that send in questions every single week. Yes, Ian.
You have to excuse me for a second. I just realized I forgot there's also the New Japan Dads match at King of Pro Wrestling.
What?
Tanahashi and Hanma versus Makabe and Toru Yano.
Oh, God.
That's the Dads match. That's going to be fun. It'll be entertaining.
Nice.
Yeah.
First listener question comes in from Josh. Do you think the
Yes.
success or failure of AEW will determine if Jericho gets into the WWE Hall of Fame? Also, are we getting Horapalooza this year?
Yes, you are. Because I'm not watching enough wrestling. I'm also going to be watching a horror movie a day through October. So 31 horror movies for the month of October. I'm going to try and find some hidden gems, stuff I haven't seen before, stuff I've never heard of, plus probably a couple of ones I can't not go through Halloween season without watching.
Right.
So that will be happening again. 4 episodes of Horapalooza, 1 a week through October. So that is coming back. As far as the success or failure of AEW and Jericho in the Hall of Fame, it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer because obviously if AEW fails, one of the things that Jericho has been pushing is that he's pissed at WWE because he feels like he was disrespected because of just the way things went down with WrestleMania. I believe it was 33 or 34 where Vince said, "Hey, hold us some time," and then he just never called him. But that's also Jericho, and everything's always a work with him. So I don't think he has any ill will with WWE. I think he and Vince could mend fences in a day if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But he will not be in the Hall of Fame as long as he's in AEW.
Correct.
And not in WWE. So if AEW completely flounders and falls apart, will Jericho go slinking back to WWE? Maybe not right away, and it might not be slinking, but you can expect him probably to end up back in the fold at some point. Yeah. Whereas if AEW's success, he's going to be there as long as he keeps getting paid and is contributing to that success and is at the top of their card. So, yeah, I think it contributes to whether or not he's getting in the Hall of Fame because he's not getting in that Hall of Fame until he's not competition.
True. Very, very true.
And that's so yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing Horapalooza as well. My take on it is that he's going to go do his run in AEW. That's going to be a finite amount of time. And after that, who knows once all of that's finished. Before we move on to the next question, I want to give a shout out to DJ Butters for the $10 in the tip jar. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Love it. Thank you for the support, Mr. Butters.
Nice.
All right. Next up, we got Billy, who asks a very, very good question. I love this one. Hey, fellas, welcome back from paradise. Thank you. Actually, it was just me. Ian didn't get to go, unfortunately. Maybe one day.
I live in paradise.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks for all you do. I've been wondering for a while, was Daniel Bryan right? Was Sami Zayn right? Are fans just fickle and toxic? I don't really see it anywhere around here, but damn, it's visible. The fans wanted Kofi and Seth on top, and they got it. Now they are turning on them. Same with Becky. It's not cool to boo Roman anymore, so he's wildly cheered. His story with Rowan is far from perfect and full of WTF things, but WWE is doing long-term storytelling finally, something that fans have wanted, yet they hate it. Are the fans just never going to be happy nowadays? I find it very hard to hate and be cynical about things when my hobby is essentially watching grown men fake fight in their underwear. So
good point.
I don't really have a lot to. I think your questions are kind of interesting and rhetorical and introspective. The idea that all of these things, we finally got all those face wins at WrestleMania. Yay! We got everything we wanted. Thanks, Uncle Vince. And now we don't want them anymore. And I'm as guilty as anybody. I'll admit that. Full disclosure.
Yeah, you are.
I am absolutely as guilty. We've ridden the train for well over 6 months now at this point, and it's getting a little stale. So that's my hang up on it. As fast as they turn things over in WWE outside of Brock Lesnar, it's getting a little bit stale for me. That's where I'm hung up on it. What about you, Sir Ian?
Well, I mean, we do know that the fans can be fickle. I mean, even on this show today, we heard Nick say that there were 3 different matches that were his favorite of this week, and he just changed, as the show went on.
Yeah.
But that's not just fans, that's just human beings. Like, we have short attention spans. It's kind of the nature of it, But as far as toxic, yeah, there's absolutely a part of wrestling fandom that is extremely toxic. And in fact, like, you can look at any group of people that are extreme fans of anything, and you're going to find that toxic part of the community. And some of them are way worse than others, whether it's World of Warcraft, whether it's Marvel movies, whether it's WWE, the Smurfs. I don't know. Like, you can find toxic fandom everywhere.
Just go run around Reddit for 20 minutes,
Jesus. Or Twitter, or read YouTube comments. Like, my God, there's toxic people everywhere. So that's not obviously limited to wrestling. So I'm not just going to say it's just wrestling fans who are toxic. And it's certainly not all of them by a long shot. One of the things that I'm really proud of when I talk about this show is how overwhelmingly impressed I am with all of our listeners and everyone who comes on our Facebook discussion group and our Discord, and how, like, compared to what I see on Reddit or Twitter, how just, 99% of the time, everyone is not toxic. Like, we're genuinely talking about our feelings and our opinions on wrestling without yelling at each other, without bashing the wrestlers, without a whole lot of that vitriol that you feel there. Like, it is, the community that's being built here. And it is by design, Nick, because that's something that you and I talked about. That's what we wanted, was to have something where it was non-toxic, where you could actually express these things and have people, even if it was a wild pie in the sky opinion, like Nick's booking, we wouldn't trash you for it. I might poke fun at Nick about it, but I'm not going to trash it. It's all in good fun, and that's the environment that I want to create here, because that is a far more enjoyable way to enjoy something that we all mutually love than to just sit here and bash it. Like, even when Nick and I have criticisms about the product, the different products, whether it's New Japan, whether it's WWE, whatever we have criticisms of, we try to make it criticisms where we say, like, if I just don't like it, it's just me, I don't like it, or if it's something's bad, I try to give a reason why I think it's bad and how it could be fixed.
Yep.
And if I don't know what that is, I'll admit I don't know what that is, that how it could be fixed, and that's on me. So it's definitely something that, and thank you for saying that, Billy. Like, I'm glad it's not that way around here. But unfortunately, that does seem to be the case, and it's something that frustrates me, because I definitely have, like, I guess a longer attention span. Like, I'm starting to feel like Becky and Sasha's a little stale, but I expressed why that was earlier in the show. I feel I still like Kofi as champ. I know, Nick, you're starting to get a little long in the tooth on it, but I'm still in on it. But I can also see why some people might not, because it hasn't, for some of it, been the most exciting run. And that's not Kofi's fault, even though some of the blame gets put on him. It's more actually the writing and the booking. So a lot of that fickleness comes from that feeling of needing to be constantly entertained and think constantly to be escalating. Give me that excitement now. I want it now. So I think that might be where the fickleness comes from. It's what makes the Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan characters particularly intriguing, because they are, like, we all see it. We all see that out there in this fandom, whether it's in other people or if we're introspective enough to see it in ourselves.
Yeah.
So the fact that it feels a little bit real in that way makes it more affecting. So I was always curious how they were handling that, so that they wouldn't turn into go away heat. They weren't, really, really pissing off the fans. I'm trying to wrap my head around all of his questions here, because, as you said, some of it is rhetorical.
What about the Roman stuff? Are we just gonna get, because leukemia? Like, how did they turn Roman around to getting some of the most legendary boos in WWE history to being cheered now? Is that just because leukemia?
I mean, frankly, yeah. You can't. It's really hard to boo a leukemia survivor, but it's also, frankly, because They're not booking him like Super Roman anymore.
Right.
They're not doing the things that we didn't like about him. We had a whole episode, a bonus episode for this show where we said this is why we're frustrated with how Roman Reigns is being presented. And it's got nothing to do with Joe the man. It has nothing to do with his talents in the ring. It has everything to do with the presentation. He's not connecting with the fans. He comes out and acts, a certain way, and it's creating a disconnect between him and the audience. He needs to feel more like a human being, and portraying him as an underdog is silly when a guy is as big and obviously strong as Roman is. A whole bunch of things. They're not doing any of that anymore.
Yeah.
He now feels like a real guy. He comes out and is very obviously like, hey, I love you. You love me to the fans. So it's not just the leukemia thing with Roman. Like, there's a bunch of other reasons why people are cheering him now. And part of it is WWE is just doing a better job handling him. He doesn't have to be the main guy anymore.
Yeah.
So
I think that was one of our first bonus episodes from right at a year ago. So yeah.
Yeah. And I
state
agree
of
with
the
him.
Roman.
I have a hard time hating anything that is this kind of obviously just meant to be for fun.
Yeah.
Cynical, that just comes from years of wanting it to be better and having it not be better. But I
Wrestling.
still want it to be better.
Yeah.
But luckily that there's so much of it out there right now that if I'm not liking this one thing, I can go watch something else.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
He
great
says
question.
I just love wrestling and have for damn near 30 years. Keep it up, guys. You are awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your questions there. Next up, Jacob. Now, before I read this one, I kind of want to nominate it to be saved for a bonus episode because I love this question. He says, to piggyback off of the questions about if you guys were wrestlers from last week, who would each of you like to be in a long-term feud with as singles wrestlers, and what team would you guys like to feud with if you and I were a tag team, any promotion, past or present?
Midnight Express, you and me as a tag team for sure.
Okay.
No, I'll start while Nick recovers over there. As far as like
I don't have the time or the energy. Anyway.
Sure. As far as the singles long-term feud, someone who I feel like you could go back and forth with every night and just have a different match every night, and you could get each other over. And I think back to some of my favorite like long-term feuds in recent memories the show is kind of peppered with it today. Maybe it's on my mind. I don't know why, but Lucha Underground. Some of their long-term feuds over there were absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
And they had really long-term storylines that went through there. Phoenix and Marty the Moth, Pentagon and Ricochet, Pentagon and Mil Muertes. And I think about how they got each other over in there. But I just off the top of my head, the first person that popped into my head was Ricochet. Because if you have any kind of talent, no matter what kind of wrestler you are, you're going to be able to have a good match with that guy. He's going to make you look good. He's going to look awesome. And it's going to be a ton of fun for the fans. I think it would be money off the top of my head. As far as you and me is in a tag team, Nick, well, Heavy Machinery.
All right.
I don't know. That I really don't know. It would depend on what wrestlers we ended up being. But
I think it would be. I think we would be the
options.
faces, and we would need a heel team to fight against.
Heel Young Bucks.
Ooh, that's good. For me,
what about Road Dogg and Mr. Ass? Only heels.
Ooh, I like that. I think I've always romanticized both The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin for their interactions and the feuds that they had with the McMahon family. Right? What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry. Esmeralda in the chat just said BWO versus the Forgotten Sons. And the BWO versus the Blue World Order. That's the winner right there. BWO versus the Blue World Order.
Oh my God.
That's it right there. Done. We're not beating that. Sorry, Nick. I had to interrupt. That was Esmeralda. You just won the chat.
Yep. Congratulations.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Sorry. Please continue.
Ian and Nick versus the Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards.
Oh
awesome.
My God.
Awesome.
That would. Sell out Madison Square Garden right there.
So back to what I was saying. I've always romanticized not them as individuals, but the interactions that both The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin had with the McMahons. And I think I have always wanted to, if I were to be in wrestling, I would always want to play that sort of the people's hero going anti-corporate. And I think I would love to be in some kind of angle with the McMahons. That would be my kind of dream feud. I'd like that.
I see.
So I'm probably I'm old and rickety at this point. I don't know that I could even wrestle.
Stone Cold Nick Charlotte, is that what you'd do?
Something, yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Tag teams, I'm with you though. It'd have to be, I for a heel team, something like the Revival. If we're doing something current, if we're doing something old, Heart Foundation.
How can we continue after the BWO versus the BWO?
We can't. I'm just answering the question because I needed to give an answer. There we go.
We can't.
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. That's intergender.
Ooh. All right.
Because we're progressive. We're
very progressive.
Yes.
Yeah. I will eat that pin.
I would love to explore this one more. That could be a fun topic. But yeah, after the Blue World Order, I don't know if we could go even further. Basically,
create a wrestler our lives, like not just in 2K, but like just do a whole show where we just book ourselves as creator wrestlers.
You know what I would do? I would go back and insta-bury Repo Man so that we never had to listen to that again. Anyway, thank you very much, Jacob, for the question there. Next up, Lionel. Hey, guys, how are you? My question is simple. Today, I don't recall anyone asking, but who would you guys say is the most underrated and overrated wrestlers of all time and why? Thanks, and I want to just say this show is such good shit.
Thank you. It is.
Thank you very much, Lionel.
Yes. I appreciate that, brother.
Who would you say is the most underrated and overrated of all time? And why?
I'm just gonna give my personal opinions, and these are absolutely debatable, and these are absolutely personal.
Yeah.
But I'll give you mine. I'll start with overrated, and this is gonna be controversial. Batista. Never did it for me. I never got it. I never got why he was the top guy. Had the look, kind of, but he was like a freaky looking. Never blew me with his wrestling, which is kind of there. I thought he got way too much accolades, and I'm honestly I've come around on the guy in a lot of ways, and his acting career has certainly helped me come around on him on a few things. But Batista, I mean, and that's just a personal one. Like, you could get guys that were legitimately overrated by Vince McMahon, like Lex Luger. Why was he pushed? That sort of thing. Like, why did Heidenreich get pushed? Who knows? But for me, Batista, as far as overrated. Who's your most overrated?
I'll throw in that Jim Cornette has some choice things to say about Batista during his time, and they tried to push Batista to the moon in the early days in OVW. And so, I mean, before he went over to WWE, buddy with Trips, and they strapped him immediately. Yeah, I'll send you that clip if you haven't heard it yet. But yeah, Jim Cornette and company tried to push him to the moon. Overrated. That one's tough.
While you think about it, if you need to, I can give you my underrated. You chew. I'll give you my underrated, and that's a long list. Underrated is tough because you've got guys like Dean Malenko who were never appreciated in their time. You've got guys like shoot. Now I'm stumbling. Shelton Benjamin. I think that he could have been so much more than what they gave him. A big one that I don't hear about enough, Bam Bam Bigelow, one of the greatest. Him or Vader could have been underrated, I think, and utilized so much more. But I think my number one, I think if the first one that popped into my head when you said underrated, and this is probably just because I was thinking about him a lot in the last couple of days, William Regal. Whether it's Steven Regal or whether it's William Regal, whatever, like that, what a career that guy had, and just never was really rated high enough for what he was. Thank God he's kind of getting his due now with NXT, and he's proving again why he's amazing. But yeah, William Regal, really, 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 really underrated worker, talent all around. So, yeah, your turn, man. I hope you thought him up
I
because
didn't. I'm
you're on the
stumped.
spot.
I'm
You're still
completely
stumped.
I'm trying.
Wow.
I'm going all the way back to the mid '90s and trying to work my way forward. And I can't. I'm struggling because I'm thinking. I'm questioning every single one of them when I think of their names, and I'm going, yeah, but.
As far as like overrated or underrated?
For underrated, I kind of want to throw one to Dolph Ziggler. That's where my gut's taking me.
That's not. Yeah. All right. Fair.
I feel like he's better than what he. Sure, he was world champ. Sure, he won it off of the Money in the Bank from Del Rio. That's kind of it, though, right? I mean, he had the Intercontinental for a while. He had a little short tag team run, but I mean, he's never gotten that true top of the card opportunity, and I feel like he's just kind of been, And I think he's better than that. I think he's got more potential than that. And I think if he were in somewhere like NXT against guys like Gargano, guys like Cole, Velveteen Dream, his size, his style, all that stuff, can you imagine what that guy could do? So
yeah, I agree. That's a great underrated one. By the way, I thought of another one that's actually for me worse than Batista as far as overrated. Like I think the most overrated guy of all time, and a guy that a lot of people still say, oh, I loved him. Even as a kid, I hated this guy. Ultimate Warrior.
Oh,
Sorry. I know a lot of people are gonna be mad at me about that, but I couldn't stand him then. I can't stand him now. Horrible human being, terrible wrestler, goofy gimmick, wildly overrated. F Ultimate Warrior.
yeah.
There you go.
I can't think of one right now that's overrated. All the ones that when I think of overrated, I think of all the guys that have gotten all kinds of accolades and which one didn't deserve it, and I'm stuck because I can't think of one that didn't deserve it. That's where I'm stuck. I'm trying to think back of all of the guys that have been champion. Jinder Mahal, it's not because he was overrated. That was for a reason.
So your problem is you're thinking about it too much.
I am. I'm way overthinking it.
You're overthinking it. All right. Well, we got some answers for it,
Yeah.
so I think it's fair.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Leno, for the question. Next up, Andy with Vince McMahon now keeping a closer. I'm gonna be thinking about that all night. By the way, Leno, that's really gonna mess with me.
Post it in the group. Post it or on Discord.
I will. Andy, with Vince McMahon now keeping a closer eye on NXT, will we finally get to see consistency in the talent's gimmicks when they get called up? Also, will he adapt things that are working in NXT to the main roster? I think there's a fallacy in your thought there. I don't know with NXT going live for 2 hours on its own show that the call-ups happen like they have traditionally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Nick. I think that we might be seeing a transition into NXT truly being considered a third brand, and much in the same way that we currently, once they do the hard brand splits, obviously the last few months are not an example to take, but you won't really see guys getting quote called up anymore. It'll be more of like a talent exchange where they might go over. In which case, that might mean that we do see gimmicks start becoming consistent across all brands, where you don't have someone called to another brand and all of a sudden they have a huge gimmick change, or all of a sudden Ciampa's a face now and he's buddies with Johnny Gargano again, or whatever was happening there.
Or Ricochet has bullet things and Alistair has creaks in his music.
Well, I think that's the one thing is that, if they do go over to Raw or SmackDown where Vince does have a little bit more say, he might try to tweak aspects of the gimmick like he did with Ricochet, for example. But I have a feeling that we're going to see NXT become a little bit more insular and guys not leave NXT, not think of it as a call-up system.
I'll take it one step further.
At least at the top of the card.
We're starting to see there's I don't know if it's confirmed. There's rumors that Kevin Owens is going back to NXT. We're seeing Tyler Breeze and Fandango go back to NXT. We're seeing people leave the main roster and go compete in NXT. I think we're going to see 205 Live absorbed into NXT. So I think it's going to be its own thing. I don't think the traditional ways and means of developmental coming up and surprising us as entrants in the Royal Rumble and that leads. I think that stuff might be gone. Let's see what happens over the next 3 to 6 months. But
yeah, it's going to be fascinating because is NXT now going to be and here's the other thing, we don't know for sure how much Vince will be keeping an eye on NXT. He's going to have his plate quite full. So we don't know if he's going to have his fingers that much more in that pie, or if he's going to just trust Triple H to run it.
Yeah.
He might just have as much looking at it as he did before. The expectations might be higher, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be as, aware of the product as perhaps maybe we think he might try to be were it one of his brands.
Yep.
So yeah. That being said, I do hope that it does mean that we see more consistency in how talent are presented across all the brands.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
So we don't see
2 weeks in a row, while it's wonky too. So let's keep this. I want to throw the caveat in there. I'm waiting for the next 3 to 4 episodes where the full 2 hours is on USA. We've had to deal with Suits for the last 2 weeks, jumping back and forth over to the network. But they've drawn over 1 million viewers for 2 weeks in a row on their first 2 shows on USA. That's at least half of what watches Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
In their first 2 episodes.
Yeah. The ratings were down a little bit from last week, but that's to be expected. They were at a high.
Tiny smidge.
Right. Tiny dip, and it'll probably keep going back up, especially once they go to 2 hours consistently.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, Andy. That was a good question. Next up, Brian. He's going to test us here. Ring of Honor question.
Bring it on.
Obviously, they're struggling big time and have been unbearable to watch at times. Can you name a few wrestlers from Ring of Honor that you'd love to see in WWE, NXT, or AEW, not named Marty Scurll or Jay Lethal? And where would you love to see them go? He's thinking Vinny Marseglia or versus Moxley, and how that could play out to be a little bit insane. What do you think?
That'd be fun. Fun. Off the top of my head, Jeff Cobb to anywhere, AEW or WWE. Obviously, we love us some Jeff Cobb. And the Briscoes. I mean, we've seen them face Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. They've some crossover with New Japan with Ring of Honor.
Right.
But I would love to see the Briscoes go over to AEW and have matches with the Young Bucks, the Lucha Brothers. LAX is over there now. Like, that would be
Private Party. You got all those
freaking insane if the Briscoes went to AEW. Off the top of my head. And I mean, and PCO, get PCO over in AEW too, and just let him do some death matches with the guys they have over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Marty Scurll and Jay Lethal are my 2, so sorry. You get it is what it is. There's not many people left besides Jeff Cobb. Sorry. Thank you very much for the question, Brian. Next up, Dominic. Hey, guys, you are in charge of Raw for the upcoming draft in 2 weeks. Who is your first pick in the actual roster to be the face of your brand? Keep up the good work, guys. Sir Ian, I'm looking forward to Horrorpalooza to discover some gems this year again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope I will have some for you. I have a very long list of possible movies to watch. It's gonna be madness.
All right, Ian, you're the general manager of Raw. Who is your number 1 draft pick to be the face of Raw in your stint?
Right now?
Current actual roster, yes.
See, so here's the interesting thing, because Raw is no longer the flagship show. You can be a little bit more inventive with Raw. Smackdown is the one where you should put your most marketable people, your Roman Reigns, your Seth Rollins, your Brock Lesnar's. Raw, you can be a little bit more adventurous, I feel. And with the current, but you also look at the women's, Becky Lynch, Charlotte. Right now, though, I think that like a guy that they just have bungled, and you could absolutely go the distance with this guy if you let him out and presented him correctly and had him doing appearances, just as far as old school spectacle. And I'm going to counterthink myself on this. I'm just going to say it and defend it, is Braun Strowman. It's a guy that I honestly think that this guy should be the top of their card. Instead of being presented as a big dumb lunk, have him be a guy he is a big, strong dude. Good luck beating him, kind of thing. And the guy's able to speak. He's able to go out and give interviews, especially at baseball games. He's a guy that can walk into a room and you go, oh, he's a professional wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's very striking. You put him on a sports show, you put him on any kind of interview, and you go, who the hell is that? So if I were the guy who was going to start a brand, that would be, I mean, off the top of my head, I just Roman Reigns obviously would be a good call. Seth Rollins, all of that just depends on how you play them and book them. But I think those are obvious answers. So I just want to do something that was a little bit left of field, but not too left of field.
You totally took mine.
Sorry. No, I'm not at all. I'm not sorry at all about that.
Because obvious reasons, right? I would be the face of my own brand.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about alternatives while you were talking there, and right now, without saying the obvious ones of a Seth Rollins or a Roman Reigns or a Becky Lynch or a Charlotte Flair, I would probably go with a Charlotte Flair. I think I would go for a woman right now.
Yep.
I think we're on the precipice. They've been doing great work for the last couple of years since the Evolution Revolution. And I think we're kind of on the precipice of them having as much, if not more, presence and ability and match quality. We're close. Like there, we see some. Go back. That 4-way match we saw last week on NXT that opened the show for USA. Holy shit!
Lights out. Great stuff.
So yes, I think I would go female first, if not Braun Strowman, because reasons. I would definitely go Charlotte Flair. She's the phenom. She's the female phenom that's going to be around for the next 10 years and is going to have arguably end up with more championship reigns than anybody by the end of it.
Charlotte Undertaker? What? She's the phenom? What? Anyway, no, I know what you're. I know.
You know what I mean.
I hear what you're saying. Feminist Nick going all in on the women's evolution. Good stuff.
I'm gonna shave my head and dye it pink here after we're done with the show.
Oh, Nick, no.
Yeah, no.
You just undid all the goodwill you just did. You just undid it all. Threw it right out the window. Oh,
sorry. Thank you very much, Dominic. And last but certainly not least, Esme Stand-In Bear snuck hers in at the last minute.
All right.
Hello, fellers. Getting my question in real quick. This one's going to be controversial, Ian. I want you to be ready. I don't know that you can see this one, can you?
I can.
How do you guys feel about Jim Cornette? I always see him in the media. People either love him or hate him. Where do you guys stand?
This is actually an easy one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not controversial at all. I have a very clear opinion on Jim Cornette, and that is that he is one of the greatest wrestling minds to have ever lived. If you have a question about wrestling history specifically, that guy is a freaking encyclopedia. Like, he's one of those encyclopedia series that's like, every letter has its own book. He's one of those guys. He can quote you the door off the top of his head from a match in like 1938. It's absolutely insane the knowledge that guy has stored up in that crazy noggin of his. And he should be respected for that. And I do. And that's why, I'm very interested in his opinions on wrestling history. That being said, he's also a completely insane dude who has no problem absolutely ripping into anybody that he doesn't agree with. And he's a very opinionated guy. I also think that some of his opinions are wildly indefensibly wrong. And some of those have to do with whether it's social issues or wrestling itself, like how matches should be presented in the modern era. I have two compartments for Jim Cornette. There's the one where I will listen to him raptly talk about wrestling history. And then as soon as he starts talking about how wrestling should be, I click off. I turn it right off. The other thing I'll say about him is that he is still very much, I perhaps intentionally, perhaps subconsciously, a worker. He's always working, and controversy is definitely part of that work.
Yeah.
So I'm never entirely sure how much he's saying that's completely off the cuff and how much he's saying because he knows it will be controversial and he'll get clicks and tweets and all the rest of it. So
I'm mostly in line. I'm mostly in line with you. There's even a video special, I forget where I saw it, where he goes into his museum, which I think is his attic. And he has this finished bonus room, and it's wall to wall of programs and, like you said, doors and posters and titles and costumes, all of that stuff. He has it all. He's a collector. He's a historian. He knows more. There's more knowledge in his pinky finger than, what's the phrase? He's forgotten more than I'll ever know.
Yeah.
And
he knows who the Rock and Roll
much.
Express are. He knows who the Rock and Roll and the Midnight Express are, Nick.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
that
should
right
know
there.
who the Midnight Express are.
At least you knew that. Hey!
My experience, look, growing up in Central North Carolina around Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Glenn Jacobs,
Yes.
those guys, yes, we were exposed a little bit, but I was too young to remember any of it. My first memories of Jim Cornette are probably from the early 2000s. It's I know of him, but I didn't really start paying real attention to him until probably the last decade.
Sure.
And a lot of that had to do with social media and him becoming this polarizing figure out there, picking fights with people online, and all of the crazy videos that started showing up on YouTube. And then I put two and two together and remembered who he was when I was a kid, Smoky Mountain Wrestling and all that. So, I'm kind of with you. He can be an absolute garbage individual sometimes, and it's just a completely toxic personality. But the stuff that's in that dude's head, I wish we had a way to just extract it like the Matrix and store that in some kind of vault somewhere so that we had this museum of professional wrestling history. I can't imagine. That video that I was watching, last thing I'll say real quick. He pulled out one thing and opened it up, and it was something from like the 1910s or 1920s. And he said he would go grab that if his house was on fire before his wife.
Before he grabbed his wife, yeah.
And I was just like, that tells you right there in one sentence who Jim Cornette is.
Yeah.
He is a mind of wrestling first.
Wasn't like a program that was like signed by freaking everybody?
Yeah. And it was like one of the original like wrestling cards.
Yeah.
Ever.
And it was signed by a bunch of the guys that were on it. It was nuts. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So there you go. I don't know if I'm a fan of modern Jim Cornette, but yeah, that's really
there's aspects of him. There's aspects of him I can't help but respect.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, exactly. Thank you very much, everybody, for getting your listener questions in this week. Thank you to all of our patrons for your patronage. It really does help us support the show here and keep the lights on, all of that good stuff. If you want to get in on some of these questions, remember, we're going to be shifting them to their own standalone show on Saturdays on Facebook, live in the Facebook discussion group. So once we get done recording our show for AEW, NXT, and SmackDown Live, we're going to stop the stream and then at the next hour mark switch over to Facebook Live inside the Busted Wide Open group. So just a reminder, that's going to change a week from Saturday. We'll be doing that. So be sure to get your questions in. We're going to do it the exact same way. We'll be posting it on Patreon. You can submit your questions there, but we're just going to be delivering them a little bit different. Give us a little bit more time to really broaden out some of the questions a little bit. So we'll have extra time. Be sure we got more than 7 patrons, so be sure to flood us with those questions, guys. Make sure to get those in every single week. Patreon.com/BWOBD. And we're not done yet. We've got just enough time for our other news lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
It's our last long show, Nick, and we're not going to disappoint. We are going to go long because there's a ton of other news. Ring of Honor. We were just talking about Ring of Honor in our listener questions. Well, there's more Ring of Honor because did you know they're having a pay-per-view tomorrow? That's right.
God.
I know.
More wrestling this week?
Death Before Dishonor is happening tomorrow night. It's a pretty nice card, too. You've got Jeff Cobb versus Brody King in a singles match. You've got the Bouncers, which is Beer City Bruiser and Brawler Milonas versus Vinny Marseglia and Silas Young in a Haas match. They're going to do it. It's called a barroom brawl match. So they're going to do a barroom brawl match. Cool. Fun. Let's see. Jay Lethal versus Jonathan Gresham. Marty Skrull versus Colt Cabana in the #1 contenders tournament first round. And then on the other side, PCO versus Kenny King in the #1 contenders match tournament first round. And the title picture, we've got Kelly Klein versus Angelina Love for the women's title. Shane Taylor versus Flip Gordon versus Tracy Williams in a 3-way for the TV title. And the Briscoes versus Lifeblood, which is Bandito and Mark Haskins for the tag team championships. So pretty nice one. That being said, there's also I feel like I'm missing a match. Matt Taven doesn't have a match on that show. And so I'm going to have to check myself on this because I may not have put that in my notes here. But I know that Matt Taven, his contract is almost up. In fact, it's supposed to expire at the end of the month. And you know what that means? He said in an interview in Orlando Sentinel that he has exciting news, but he's keeping it close to the vest, and it's a life-changing decision. Nick,
transitioning to a woman?
No, Nick.
Oh.
Matt Taven to AEW.
Oh, you said life-changing decision.
Not life-changing like that.
I take everything literally, okay?
Jesus, what's on your mind? No, I'm saying he might drop the title and go to AEW. He is having a match. Excuse me. He is having a match at Death Before Dishonor against Rush. So it's a champion match against Rush. If Matt Taven drops the title, wouldn't surprise me if he headed out of Ring of Honor and headed over, as I said,
I agree,
to AEW.
Certainly is not re-signing with a Ring of Honor.
He might. No. Now, here's the other side of it. He might, because it is being reported by Wrestling Observer that Ring of Honor is offering Matt Taven and Marty Scurll, who's up in November. They're offering them both a pretty good amount of money for Ring of Honor money. Which amounts to about 3 times what NXT stars make. So pretty good for Ring of Honor money. We'll see, because obviously AEW's got a little bit more money than that.
Yeah. And
it wouldn't surprise me if they threw some money at least at Marty Scurll.
They got that con NFL money.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if Matt Taven drops it to Rush at Death Before Dishonor, just saying. Also, one last Ring of Honor thing. PCO is going to debut a new theme song at Death Before Dishonor, and it will be written by Jim Johnston, who, of course, left WWE earlier. He's the guy responsible for the themes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Mankind, most of like the major themes you used to hear back in the day. That's Jim Johnston. He's a ring entrance genius, but he left WWE about 1.5 years ago now, and apparently he's going to start working for Ring of Honor. And his first one is going to be for PCO, which is awesome. Superstar Billy Graham. I brought him up earlier when Nick was talking trash about Kofi Kingston. Well, Billy Graham just got out of the hospital for a heart attack. Apparently the old ticker is not doing so hot. But hey, Kofi, try steroids. So he says that his heart is constantly failing. He's got to take medication for the rest of his life for his heart. I'd feel bad for him, but he's kind of a dick. Yeah. So I never want to wish ill on somebody, but I'm just going to leave it at that. Superstar Billy Graham has a bum ticker and just got out of the hospital for it. Battle of Los Angeles over at PWG 2019 is in the books. It is done. Your new Battle of Los Angeles champion, Bandito.
Woo!
Bandito, he won in a triple threat match, elimination match, in the finals versus Jonathan Gresham and David Starr. David Starr was my pick, but he was the first one eliminated, and it crushed me. But Bandito is your new Bola champ, so congratulations to him. That's awesome.
Hell yes.
Definitely an up-and-coming star and one of their biggest stars over there right now. In the process to get to the finals, David Starr did beat current PWG champ Jeff Cobb, so perhaps if Cobb is on his way out of PWG, David Starr might get a title shot in the future. I could see David Starr as PWG champ. I really could. Dragon Lee was also a part of Bola, which he wasn't supposed to be. He was told by CMLL management to not work Bola, but he did anyway.
Naughty.
Naughty, Mr. Dragon Lee. And so they took him off of all of their future shows. We don't know what his status will be with CMLL, but they have benched Dragon Lee for disobeying management orders. Ouch. Hopefully he can still work New Japan stuff. Speaking of New Japan, as I mentioned earlier, Ren Narita's heading off an excursion to the Los Angeles dojo. Also heading off an excursion, Shota Umino, Shooter, Moxley's little buddy. He will not be at Moxley's side when Moxley comes back, sadly, because he'll be in the UK. He's going to be having his excursion over there on the Green Isles and hopefully learning some really awesome catch wrestling, because I would love to see Shooter come back as an awesome catch wrestling genius. That would be fantastic. Right in line with what he's good at already.
Yep.
Speaking of the UK, Southside Wrestling is due to be picked up by Rev Pro on the 28th of October, and they were going to do their last show, their farewell show, on October 26th.
Not to be confused with Southpaw Wrestling.
Correct.
Right.
Not to be confused with that at all. But apparently they were using a lot of talent that is currently signed with NXT, with WWE in general, including people like El Ligero, Joseph Connors, Kaylee Ray, Ilya Dragunov, Zaya Brookside, etc. WWE has just pulled all of their talent because they've got a show right around that time. So they're not able to use any of that talent, which has pretty much built their brand. So that kind of sucks. And there wasn't really any recourse, although Cody did tweet back at them when they announced all that. Cody tweeted, let me see if I can help. So we'll keep an eye on that. That could be an interesting situation. Cody talking to WWE management. Cody maybe supplying some of his own wrestlers so they can still put on a good show. Who knows? But an interesting development there. Something worth keeping an eye on. Tucker from Heavy Machinery was in San Francisco, obviously, for the show this week. Someone broke into his car and stole his ring gear.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see any of Tucker's merch or his ring gear up online anywhere on eBay or anything, make sure you tweet at Tucker and let him know.
If you see somebody in Union Square running around in a giant singlet.
Hey, man, if you can see someone who fits into Tucker's singlet, let WWE know. They'll sign him.
Right, exactly.
On the spot. No problem. Lacey Evans, in what I consider one of the greatest bits of kayfabe work I've seen in a long time. She got pulled over, I use air quotes, pulled over in Canada for a speeding ticket and filmed herself getting this ticket with this officer and just basically was in character the entire time. And it was wonderful. Yeah. That being said, holy crap, people got worked by this thing. She actually had to explain on Twitter.
Including our listeners in the group.
Absolutely. And people were furious about this. You don't do that to a cop. She actually had to explain on Twitter, guys, it was a work.
Yeah.
It was all planned. The cop knew it was all fine. She said in real life, she would never disrespect an officer if anyone messes with the people in blue. She hopes that they get what's coming to them.
Let's not forget, she's a former Marine.
She's a former freaking Marine.
She's not going to do that.
I truly actually am. I'm more upset that she had to explain and apologize for this than the fact that she actually did this. People being like, oh, it's a bad example. Let me explain something to you about wrestling. She's a heel. She's supposed to do stuff like this. What? Come on. Let it happen. Let it happen. It's supposed to get people worked up. This is the sort of thing that she would have made so much money on as a heel back in the day. Like this would have been, can you imagine the heat she would have gotten in Canada if they just let this sit and had this just been like, was it a work or wasn't it? We don't know. But if I'm Canadian, I hate that woman now. She's in a feud with Natalya. That was a great way to get heat. No harm, no foul. She's a bad guy being bad to cops. It's not a bad example. She's a bad guy. She's playing the character. Oh, sorry. Woo-saw, Nick. You know where I'm going with this. Anyway, also the cop apparently was Natalya's cousin. If that didn't point out there was a work, come on. Come on.
Yeah, Esme in the chat said it best. She should not have apologized, but I get it's 2019. People take things too seriously.
Yeah, chill out, everybody.
The same people probably thought that cop really rolled up R-Truth for the 24/7 title too. So, come on, guys.
Yeah, no one complained when that happened.
Right, exactly.
That
cop assaulted a black man. You know, nobody lost their mind over that.
It was no. The cop was African American as well. It was
fine.
Okay,
fine.
Honestly,
that makes it all right, I guess.
I saw that and I was like, I wonder if that was done to be PC. Just thought it was definitely like something where I was like, oh God, oh no.
Yeah, it's just
that's there's so many ways to go wrong. Thin ice. Be delicate, WWE. Jose Canseco, not a name you were expecting to hear on this show, but former Basham brother in professional baseball.
Your hometown of Oakland Athletics?
Grew up with him winning titles on the Oakland A's alongside a future asterisk holder Mark McGuire. Back there, both
Well said.
juicing themselves to the gills. He's going to make his pro wrestling debut.
Oh, boy.
He's more known these days as just being an outspoken douchebag. Jose Canseco will be making his debut on November 3rd for World Class Revolution Pro Wrestling, a promotion that sounds like it just basically went into the grab bag of promotion names and pulled out about 5 and just jumbled them together.
Yeah.
So he's going to, if you really want to see Jose Canseco wrestle, you can check him out there. And finally,
I'm scared of this one.
Yo of Show and Yo. I've been waiting for this all show. Yo
I see what you
of
did
Show
there.
and Yo from Roppongi 3K was discussing in an interview on NewJapan.com his art, and I use that term lightly. Apparently, Yo is a fan of toilet art, meaning that he makes art having to do with and having the images of toilets, including recreating toilets and making modern art with like toilet prints and, the impression of poop, but he makes the poop with coffee grounds so that it smells nice. He wants to change the opinion people have of restrooms being unclean places. I'm not making any of this up. This is all in the interview. A quote from that interview. He says, "Truth is, I've always liked poo. My mom came to my Utenji exhibit and said, 'You've always been interested in shit.' And she was right."
There's one thing I want to say about
There's
this.
really no way I can finish this bit, Nick, other than to say that's some good shit.
I've got a different way I can say it.
Please.
Howdy-ho! There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's been our show this week. Next week, everything changes. Everything's going to be insane. We're going to 2 shows a week. We will be live on Tuesday and live again on Saturday, and we'll be doing so much more content. Thank you guys all for hanging with us. It's going to be a lot of fun as we move forward, Nick. Whoa, what a show.
Butters in the chat said, "Yo, MTV craps." All right, guys, thank you very much for hanging with us. As always, you can come find us on Facebook in the Busted Wide Open discussion group. Also, find a link in there to our Discord server to get access to all of the live chats for all of the weekly shows. We're going to be having a new one. We've got a whole channel dedicated to AEW as well. So we'll have live chats for the AEW weekly show starting on Wednesday. Our next show next week will be Tuesday, October 1st. We'll be covering Monday Night Raw and any happenings over the course of the weekend. And then we'll be having the Saturday show covering AEW, NXT, Smackdown Live, and then listener questions as well. You can follow us on...
5th.
Yeah, on the 5th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
On the... You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast right here on YouTube, youtube.com/bustedwideopen. If you want to be subscribed to anything, I promise you it's that. Make sure you also hit that notification bell so you can get alerts anytime I schedule new events or we go live. Sometimes we might do it ad hoc. Sometimes we might schedule it. Sometimes we might just put up videos. You never know. Lots of good changes coming very, very soon. And last but certainly not least, thank you very much to all of our patrons. Patreon.com/BWO. If you want to get access to some bonus episodes, which patrons, we got a new one coming to you this weekend. Stay tuned for that for your September episode. Bonus episodes, listener questions that you can ask so that we can answer them in our special new show on Saturdays to get that up. Merchandise, Skype calls, all kinds of good stuff available across a bunch of different tiers. Patreon.com/BWO. And last, I want to throw a little bit of a shout out again to our August winner of our BWO monthly merch giveaway. Jared McDonald helps us out in the chat all the time, and we are just about to the end of September. We will be doing another drawing for our monthly merch giveaway. Some t-shirts, some cups, stickers, all kinds of good stuff. We're going to switch that stuff up. And we should have the new logo available on shirts here within the next week or so. So stay tuned for that.
Do we have BWO briefs yet? Or like man trunks?
No,
No?
T-Public won't let me make Garza shorts, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Dang it.
Yeah, maybe we
I'm
can
sorry to
find
hear that.
something special for that. But make sure you
It's
have...
just a question of if I look better or worse than Alexander Wolf in tiny black trunks. That's the only question I have.
Yeah, Fabian Eichner's getting jacked, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Eichner and Barthel. They're both jacked, and then it looking like Alexander Wolf just eating too many latkes.
Yeah, yeah.
to be in those trunks. Anyway.
Make sure you have all of your entries into the monthly giveaway. All you have to do is verify that you're following us across a bunch of different stuff. It's very, very easy to do. Takes you about 60 seconds. And it's easy to do because you're following us on everything anyway. But you want to make sure you're also following our Twitch channel, which you can find in there because, I don't know, about a month? What do we got here? About a month now? What's coming out in a month? You might be able to find some new fun content that I'm going to be creating over on our Twitch channel. Live streams. So be ready for that stuff. As I said, chaos is about to ensue. The wrestling world's getting turned on its head. We're going to have new shows. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
Oh, my goodness. Guys, that's it for our show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you pound that like button for us and you're subscribed to the channel here. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Surrey and Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Surrey and Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.
And we're out. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in today with us live. That went pretty flawlessly.
We're busy talking about manties over on the chat here.
Oh, manatees?
Manties.
Oh,
no, like
okay.
Buo Nana hammocks. BWO. How do you say it? Buo Nana hammocks. There you go.
BWO. Blow
Buo
dong.
hammock.
God. Hashtag BWO dong.
BWO dong.
You're not seeing my BWO dong ever.
No. Good. Good. Yes, excellent.
You're never gonna see me in a pair of wrestling trunks. I'd look like Otis.
People were speculating
Yeah.
if I was wearing pants a couple of weeks ago. The answer is no.
Never. Hashtag no pants.
Yeah, just a shirt. I'm Donald Ducking on this show.
Oh God. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor this weekend, and our first Tuesday show on the 1st.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Same.
Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.
Thanks to everyone. See you soon.
Peace.